Welcome back, friends. Lascarv here, and it's time for Kirby's Dreamcast, the oldest Kirby podcast. I'm your host, Lascarv. Here we talk about everything Kirby, from the games to the anime to manga and more. That's Kirby's Dreamcast. Everything Kirby will eventually be covered here with as much attention to detail as possible, so you can learn everything about Kirby here, with some infusion of my own thoughts and opinions because, well, it's my podcast. We're on all podcasting platforms and on YouTube. The YouTube version has footage or stills showing what I'm talking about if you want to watch and follow along instead of just listening. I do think you should do that for the gaming episodes because we spend so many hours editing the gameplay footage to back up what I'm talking about, because I like to tell the gameplay as a story, but most episodes in general are worth watching if you have the time. Give us a follow if you haven't. Better analytics means the algorithm shows us to more people, which gives us more people to talk about Kirby with, and I love talking to Kirby to people. Worded that weird. Also, for the light novel episodes, you get to see the images from the light novels on screen, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Today we'll be covering the 9th light novel, Kirby Clash Team Unite! This book is really interesting with very epic fights, heartfelt moments, and as per usual I cried at a couple points in the story. Now before we get going, here's the latest news on other things. So for merch first, mentioned before, there's the Kirby Mouthful Cake plush from Sanai coming out mid-April. GU, which is part of Uniqlo, will be having a Kirby clothing collab starting in May. Sanai also is releasing a very cute Kirby Waddle Dee plush keychains in late June. Additionally, there's lots of interesting Kirby appliances just released in Japan, such as Kirby Takoyaki Maker, I want that. Kirby Toaster that burns Kirby and Waddle Dee into the toast, I really want that. And a Waffle Maker. I'm importing the Waffle Maker because, well, I like waffles. The toaster's really tempting too, but I have a toaster that works for like the last 30 years, and until that toaster gives out, not going to replace it. There's also new desserts at the Kirby Cafe, and there's a rubber mold for making Kirby ice at N-Sky now, so that's really cool. Then we got birthdays, so happy birthday to Kirby's Toy Box and Kirby Superstar Stacker in Japan. For US, February, Kirby's Dream Course and Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, and globally, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe came out everywhere in February. But also very important, besides Kirby and Masahiro Sakurai's birthdays, happy birthday to HAL Laboratory Inc., founded by Mitsuhiro Ikeda on February 21st, 1980. Like, if that didn't happen, obviously Sakurai and Kirby don't happen, so very important birthday right there. One final thing is the final chapter to the radio play of the first light novel will come out tomorrow, the 28th of February. This is the 27th of February. That's the plan for the releases. Hopefully I edited to that to happen. At the end of that episode will be a full credits and thoughts on the project for that. Then for March, I will have the full book presented as one episode without anything extra so people can listen and enjoy the radio play without much fluff. Since I intend on covering more of the books, it'll be nice for people to just want to listen to the books if they want to just listen to a bunch of them in a row if they want. Just a full day of listening to that. Like for drives and such. I'm going to do a full re-listen to the whole thing and rebalance the audio. I've developed a better ear for the audio as time has gone on, so that would be good. Also, for those interested in voice acting the next book, I'll be starting tryouts in April or May after I do a vote to see if we'll be doing Book 2 or Book 3. There will be a mini episode where I go over all the logistics for that, for those who want to go, and then I'll have a Discord and everything for the tryouts and everything. And I'll listen to people try out as I'm in Japan, and when I return, so we can figure out who's going to do it. Something important is I'm going to try to have the deadlines be shorter. I was doing one chapter a month for book 1, and so it took a whole year to do book 1. I'd like to make that shorter somehow, maybe every 2 weeks if possible. That way we can get 2 books out a year, because the author puts 3 books out a year. If we do 2 books out a year, well, eventually, we'll never catch up, but we'll at least have a good pace with us, and then there's not too many books that we don't cover. That's what I want to do, and then maybe I can speed up to 3 eventually, but that would require having a good team at that point. So as we get more popular, we'll get more people, and people who can maybe do shorter deadlines, we'll see. But for now, that's what I'm going to try to do for the next book. Now with all that preamble out of the way, let's talk about the 9th Kirby light novel. This one, of course, is based on Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, which I'm hype about, because that's a fun game. Well, actually, I never played that one. I played Super Kirby Clash, which came later. But of course, that's the one that came before. It was the predecessor, so I'm hyped for this because I actually enjoy that game. So, this episode, though, is based on the fan translation of the light novels since you can only find them in Japanese. I plan on reading the light novels myself in a RAW form someday, but it ain't today. By the way, Book 13 is not translated. I'm gonna have to translate that myself. So starting in May, I'm gonna probably do streams or something where I translate live, because I've been learning Japanese, and we'll see how that goes, but I need to translate Book 13 for like 1 or 2 years from now, so I can cover that episode. But there's a master list of all the translated light novels on Tumblr, by the way, just search for that. This one is the first time we're doing a different person on Tumblr, and that is the Rick of Unamusement, CEO of DD Bro. This is a retired person who's retired from translating light novels, but they kept their Tumblr up as a museum of their time there. I'm thankful for that since it lets us read these books. They'll be credited as translating a couple books in the future, by the way. If they didn't leave that up there, then it'd be very hard to find a translation, and then who knows, maybe I would have had to translate this one. I'm glad I don't have to, because this is a hype book, and it'd be a long time till that point. By the way, if you can read Japanese, you can buy them on Amazon.jp if you're in the US. Just pay attention to shipping costs. I own the first 16 light novels, and I basically paid double for each book because of shipping costs. So be sure to keep that in mind. But the cool thing is, because it's by Kadokawa, who is a big-time publisher, these books will always be in print, so anytime they just need to make a book, they can. It's very nice. So, official information, a reminder that though this series can be considered its own universe, it tries to fit into the game universe by telling stories around the games or of the games, like Planet Robobot. Finally, we're covering Book 9, which is an epic story that draws on some events from, of course, Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, and to an extent, kind of, to Return to Dreamland. Something interesting is that the current director of the games, Shinya Kumazaki, says the characterization of the light novel is how he sees the game characters, so that's pretty cool there. These are all written by one author, Mie Takase, who previously wrote the Sokoden 4 light novel. Being the Kirby light novelist has been their main thing since 2013. The light novel series broke 1 million books sold in 2019, and has reached 3 million sold as of 2023. If it breaks any of the records, I haven't seen them yet. I'm hoping someone's keeping track of that, because I'd like to know when it breaks 5 or 10 million for sure. Today we're covering Kirby's 9th light novel, Kirby Clash Team Unite! It came out on August 15th, 2017, and this book is based on the Kirby Team Clash Deluxe game that came out in April 13th, 2017 globally. So that's the same year. That's very interesting, right? The Japanese name was Everyone, Kirby Hunter Z, which was built on the sub-game Team Kirby Clash from the Planet Robobot game. As I was saying, the timing of this book was very interesting since the game just came out, so either the author got to play the game early, or they played it when it came out and quickly wrote this book. It has lots of details from the game and endgame stuff, so it says to me that they definitely played the game, or were just shown a lot from the devs. They did the same thing with Planet Robobot book, and they will do the same in the future. Whenever a new game comes out, they will eventually write a book on it within months to a year. So expect that for Star Allies, for Forgotten Land, everything. Whenever a new game comes out, there will be a book. So I'm really excited for an Air Ride book, which will be very interesting because of the story of Air Riders is kind of messed up. I'm hoping they give a better happy ending to certain characters in that book. I really do. Because Nova is a monster. Are you kidding me? What the heck, Nova? The cover is pretty simple. You got Kirby in the center holding a sword and wearing a helmet. Behind him are the other 3 Kirbys, Green Mage, Blue Doctor, and Yellow Hammer Kirby. Above them is the Power Tablet, and below them is Magalore Salesman in green holding gem apples, and Bandana Dee winking at us. The back of the book says, when Kirby wakes up, he finds himself in the Dream Kingdom in another world. A confused Kirby is rescued by a trio of yellow, blue, and green characters who look just like Kirby. The 4 of them form Team Kirby and join forces to face off against the troublemakers causing trouble for everyone in the Dream Kingdom. Will Team Kirby be able to protect the Dream Kingdom? And will Kirby be able to return to his original world? This marks the beginning of a great adventure. So it looks like Kirby's getting Isekai'd in this book. Is it because he got truck-cooned? Or by some other means, because it'd be silly as heck if Kirby got truck-cooned. Which will happen later, of course, when Kirby truck-coons Alphalus, right? So, next is the table of contents, which I'll read aloud when we get to them. For the table of contents, we see the 4 Kirbys running left, with Kirby leading the charge. Hammer is furthest behind because he's the slowest. Doctor trips and drops his chemicals, while Beam looks back concerned. Then we have the character sheet, and they show and say the following. Team Kirby. Kirby, sword. Kirby from Dreamland has gotten lost in the Dream Kingdom. Equipped with a sword and helmet, he's ready to take on big enemies. Yellow Kirby, hammer. A heavy warrior who unleashes powerful attacks with his large iron hammer. Blue Kirby, doctor. The brains of the group, possessing the ability to heal. Green Kirby, beam. A mage who can use magic to stop time. Citizens of the Dream Kingdom. Meta Knight, the mysterious masked swordsman, a bit conceited and eager to show off. Bandana Waddle Dee, guardian of the gem apples in the village, Kirby's friend. Magalore, proprietor of the shop, selling things like weapons and armor. Chef Kawasaki, runs the tavern where Team Kirby gathers. So these are very curious characters. Before we finally get started, quick warning, I'll be voice acting those characters on occasion when I read the story word for word, so bear with me. Also, if you ever get to make a radio play of this book, it's going to be nuts having 4 different Kirbys, because that's going to be 4 different voice actors doing their own impressions of Kirby. That's going to be very fun, but also nuts. Oh my god. Chapter 1. The Mysterious Book. Kirby and Waddle Dee arrive at the Dreamland Central Library, and to my surprise, Kirby reads the room and whispers quietly to Waddle Dee that the library is really quiet. Waddle Dee explains it's because everyone's lost in their books. The narrator tells us there's so many books there it'd be impossible to read them all. Kirby asks Waddle Dee what he's gonna read, and he's gonna go research some more sweet recipes because he likes making sweets. Kirby leaves him and goes and checks another room. We learn that Kirby was invited to the library by Waddle Dee because King Dedede's away on a trip by car for the whole day. Waddle Dee just learned about the library and told Kirby about it, and so they took this chance to check out a place they've never been to. Kirby enters a room and sees a lot of books. He reads some titles and decides to check out another room. But then a book falls behind him. We get an image of the book. It is worn looking with a deep blue cover. There's a big star and other shapes on it. Kirby picks up the book and finds it to be quite heavy, bulky, and dense. He looked at the bookshelf to see where to put it back, but didn't see a space anywhere to put it back. Kirby was puzzled. Where did the book fall from? It's like the book fell out of nowhere. Kirby decided to give it a read and hopes it would be a fun story. Kirby noticed more oddities once he sat down with the book. There's no title anywhere, not on the spine or cover. Kirby wondered if the inside was blank too. So he opened it up, and the first page simply said prologue in big letters. Then in big bold letters the next sentence was, "This is the story of a distant world from long ago. There resided a shockingly peaceful place known as the Dream Kingdom." Kirby was surprised when he read Dream Kingdom. Kirby wondered if there really was a place named like that. Kirby's attention was completely grabbed. He was about to continue reading when the words on the book started to rise off the page. We get an image of Kirby taken aback, surprised with the pages rising from the book. Kirby stared in awe and tried to grab the letters, but they'd slipped from his hands. Kirby chased the letters as they flew around. He was trying to put them back in the book. Silly boy. But then Kirby started feeling dizzy and fell unconscious. That's the end of the first chapter, and wow, we're really getting Kirby Isekai'd. This was a trope from the 80s and 90s where a kid would read a book in the library, and then be transported to the world of the book. They did it a lot with history books to put kids in historical events for edutainment. I personally remember one where a boy met Davy Crockett and he tries to warn him about the Alamo, but Crockett goes to die anyway. I remember shows for other characters like a kid meeting Benjamin Franklin, a kid meeting the Founding Fathers, a kid meeting George Washington, another kid meeting George Washington, a kid meeting Abraham Lincoln, many books actually of a kid meeting Abraham Lincoln. There was a similar concept with a show called Wishbone where a dog would go into classical books, so Romeo and Juliet, but there's a dog in there too, and other fictional stories at different time periods. So that was like a thing that used to be done 20 years ago. Chapter 2. 4 Kirbys? Ooh, this title tells us plenty already. Kirby feels a warm wind on his face and wakes up. He rubs his eyes and he's surprised he's outside. He was in the library a minute ago. Kirby tries to remember what happened, and he remembers the book and the words floating off the page. Then he couldn't remember anything after that. So he wonders out loud, where did the library and book go? Kirby wandered around for some time looking for the library and book. He was just too confused over what happened. Then Kirby saw what looked like a village and was about to run towards it when he saw a large figure. Kirby was surprised and called out to them. It was Waddle Dee, and Kirby wondered why he was so big. We get an image of a big, mean Waddle Dee, and Kirby being nervous at seeing them. This Waddle Dee looked bigger and heavier than King Dedede. They had a cold look on their face, and Kirby was confused. What's going on? Why does his friend look like that? Then the giant Waddle Dee roared, and Kirby jumped with fright. The giant Waddle Dee then attacked Kirby, who tried to jump away. Kirby didn't want to fight back, so the giant Waddle Dee attacked by swinging their big hands at Kirby, and Kirby got slapped and sent flying. Kirby figures he can't just run away. He's going to have to win a fight against this opponent, knock them out, and then run away. So Kirby braces himself for another attack when the Waddle Dee stops moving. I'm going to read this next part because it gives you a good idea about the characters involved. The giant Waddle Dee, who had been about to attack, stopped moving. That wasn't the only thing. The grass blowing in the breeze, the butterflies flying in the vicinity. Everyone and everything went still. Huh? How? Heading to the dumbfounded Kirby's side, someone came running, holding a long staff in his hand. Upon seeing his face, Kirby was shocked once again. The owner of his staff was, shockingly, someone who looked just like Kirby. His body, his face, his mouth, everything was identical. The only thing that differed was his body color. While Kirby was pink, the one holding the staff was green like the grass. Are you okay? It's really dangerous around here. Green lookalike stared at Kirby with a worried look. Yeah, well, great, I stopped the clock with my staff, but it's not gonna last forever. We've gotta act now. Got it, leave it to me, guys, another person yelled. Yet another Kirby lookalike. However, this one's body was bright yellow, like a lemon. He was holding a large hammer with both his hands. Yeah! He swung his hammer at the giant Waddle Dee, hitting it. The giant Waddle Dee didn't move an inch. Since time had been stopped, it couldn't feel any pain. Then again, yet another person came running in. This one yet again was a Kirby lookalike, this time with a blue-colored body. He was wearing glasses and holding a flask, the kind you'd expect to see in a lab. Are you okay? Oh, you've gotten all scratched up on your stomach. Here, let me help you. So we get an image of Hammer Kirby hitting a time-stopped Waddle Dee while Doctor's about to heal Kirby. The blue lookalike put some sort of chemicals into the flask and mixed them, then poured the mix onto the scratches on Kirby's stomach. In the blink of an eye, the wounds healed. Kirby looked at the trio of doppelgangers. The more he looked at them, the more closely they resembled him, apart from the colors on their bodies. Thanks, guys. However, before he could continue talking, the effects of the time-stopping spell wore off. The giant Waddle Dee roared. The trio, upon seeing it suddenly stand ready to fight, shuddered. They thought it was no use and they were done for. Then the giant Waddle Dee suddenly turned its back to them and ran away, its footsteps making a loud noise. Wait! Yellow Kirby was about to chase it when Blue Kirby stopped him. You can leave it alone. It's likely not going to be causing any trouble for now. Now, more importantly... Blue Kirby turned to face Kirby. You, it's dangerous to go around without any way to defend yourself. If you leave the village, you've got to have some gear on you. Anyway, let's go back to the village. If we just stand around here talking, we'll probably get attacked by some rampaging roughneck like that just happened. Kirby didn't really understand what was going on, but the trio didn't seem like some gang of villains. In the end, they were just like Kirby. Together, Kirby and the trio headed toward the village. So a great characterization of the other three Kirbys here. We get the sense that Yellow's a rougher version of Kirby, while Blue and Green are more supportive types. What I like about the book is it's describing moves characters actually do in the game. Like Giant Waddle Dee attacks with their hands in the game, and the other Kirbys fought the way they would in the game. The village is described as having a plaza and buildings nearby, and a big tree in the middle. Kirby notices the bright green apples on the tree, and he wants the one because they're his favorite, so he runs toward the tree with his mouth wide open. But then someone stands in front of him and blocks his way, because in their words, it's not time to harvest them yet. Kirby sees its Waddle Dee blocking him, and at first Kirby becomes scared he's going to get attacked again, but this Waddle Dee has the same kind face as his best friend. But one big difference is this Waddle Dee has a blue bandana on their head. Bandana Dee! Finally, Bandana Dee makes their first appearance in the books. 9 books to get there. Bandana Dee tells Kirby to wait 2 more hours for harvest time and goes back to watching the tree by sitting on the stone wall in front of it. That's what Bandana Dee does in the games. Kirby then stares at Bandana Dee for a while. We get an image of Bandana Dee sitting at the tree and Kirby staring at them. Bandana Dee notices Kirby staring at them and asks if they're new to the village. Kirby says yes, so Bandana Dee asks if they're an aspiring hunter. Then the trio of Kirbys catch up and inform Bandana Dee Kirby was attacked outside of the village, so they saved him. The trio call Kirby a kid and say they're gonna show him around since he's a newbie. Bandana Dee happily waves at them as they leave and tells them to come back in 2 hours for the gem apples. Kirby asks what they are, and Green Kirby realizes he really is new, and they'll have to explain everything. They take Kirby to Chef Kawasaki's tavern, and they sit at a 4-seater table. Kirby's surprised to see another person he's familiar with. We get an image of Kirby sitting with the Kirby trio and being welcomed by Chef Kawasaki. Everyone looks very confident while Kirby looks unsure. I'm going to read this next part since it gives even more characterization. Seeing the group, Chef Kawasaki greeted them with a "Welcome!" The Kirby sat down at the 4-seater table. "Yo, Pops, the usual," Blue Kirby said smugly. Chef Kawasaki cordially nodded. "Got it. So, blueberry juice, right? And for the other 2, lemon soda and a green smoothie, huh? What about you? Can't say I've seen you around here before." By you, he obviously meant Kirby. Kirby had been staring at Chef Kawasaki ever since he entered the establishment. He looked just like the Chef Kawasaki Kirby knew. There's nothing particularly different from his tone or attitude. However, even though he looked at Kirby, he didn't seem to know who he was. By the way, did you notice the drinks are color-coded? Blueberry, lemon, for yellow and green? Huh. Would you like to order? We've got a lot of tasty options on the menu here. As he walked toward Yellow Kirby, Kirby snapped out of it. Well then, I'll have a strawberry milk. Alright, 1 strawberry milk coming right. And donuts. And also miso ramen and a burger. Macaroni au gratin, spaghetti bolognese, rice and curry, shrimp pilaf, and... hold on. Just a second. Sure got a big appetite, huh? As to be expected from a Kirby. Chef Kawasaki muttered as he hurriedly jotted down the order. Kirby was startled. You know me? Huh? No, I don't think I've met you before, right? They just said, as to be expected from Kirby, right? I'm Kirby, you know that, right? Upon hearing that, Chef Kawasaki laughed. Well, I can tell that just by looking at you. All 4 of you are just like each other, aren't you? You're Pink Kirby, right? What? What do you mean? Green Kirby gave out a sarcastic laugh. This kid really doesn't know anything, huh? He's just a rookie after all. Guess we'll have to explain things from now on. Blue Kirby raised a hand. Oops, he said. Pops, I want to add to my order. Listening to this kid's order got my stomach rumbling. Could you get the rest of us what he ordered too? But I thought you guys only ate a ton before going out on one of your Kirby Trio adventures, Chef Kawasaki said, sipping miffed. We got hungry again, 'cause we were moving around. Anyways, add it to our orders now. Fine. Chef Kawasaki went back behind the counter. Then suddenly the stranger sitting at the end of the counter chuckled. So is there yet another Kirby around now? He muttered. The Dreaming Kingdom is approaching a food crisis. Upon hearing that voice, Kirby nearly jumped. Meta Knight? I know that voice, that's Meta Knight! What? He turned to look at the suspicious stranger. The mask hiding his face, the cape around his body, and his treasured sword Galaxia kept carried on his waist. Everywhere Kirby looked, he was just like Meta Knight Kirby knew. You know who I am? That's not good. I'd never wish to be so famous. What are you talking about? Come on, it's me, Kirby! Well, I can tell that just by looking at you. That face, the round body, you're certainly a Kirby. However, I've never seen a pink Kirby before. What do you mean? I'm always pink. Kirby was about to run over to Meta Knight when Yellow held him back. Calm down, we'll explain. But first, how about an introduction ourselves? Yellow Kirby spoke up and continued. I'm Kirby. As you can see, I'm a real tough guy. Hammers are my thing. Nice to meet you. Kirby? We have the same name. Kirby muttered without thinking. Green Kirby smiled at him. I'm Kirby, a mage, and I use my staff to stop time. You saw me do that in the battle earlier. So you're so-called Kirby too, okay. Of course. The mage Kirby smiled and nodded. The last to introduce himself was Blue Kirby. I'm Kirby, a doctor. I'm not really good at attacking, but I can heal everyone's injuries. Wait a second, Kirby said, waving around his hands in complete confusion. Are all of you named Kirby? Yeah, duh, all three said. But I'm Kirby too. We can tell that just by looking at you. What do you mean? We have the same faces? The same names? Well, yeah, after all, we're all Kirbys. The trio of Kirbys didn't seem to think it was odd at all. Seeing their cheerful faces, Kirby slowly regained his composure. It seemed that possibly in this world there were multiple Kirbys. Even if they had different colored bodies, they were all a bunch of happy-go-lucky gluttons. Basically, they were just like Kirby. No matter how much he thought about it, this was the only answer. Guess that's just how things are, he thought as he stood up. But Kirby decided to introduce himself to the three. I'm Kirby. I was reading a book in the library and then I woke up in the meadow. Sheesh, must be pretty careless, huh? Can't be helped. After all, he's a Kirby. The Kirbys laughed. Since you don't seem to understand anything, Blue Kirby said, I'll explain. First things first, let's talk about this village. It's located at the heart of the Dream Kingdom, and it's where many travelers and hunters gather. Dream Kingdom. Kirby remembered that name. It was the name of the country mentioned in the book he was reading before the library. That is to say, I've entered the book's world! It was hard to believe, but there was no other answer. When the words floated off the book's page, Kirby was taken by force into the book's world. What am I gonna do? How can I get back to my world? What are you mumbling about? Nothing. Even if he were to explain how he came from outside the book, it didn't seem they would understand. For now he decided to keep quiet. Blue Kirby continued to explain. The ruffian that attacked you a while ago was one of them. That guy's called Colossal Waddle Dee. It's bigger than a normal Waddle Dee, but it's still just as nice. Or at least it was. Yellow Kirby nodded his head and continued. One day he just suddenly started attacking, all violently. Attacking random travelers in the grasslands. Why? We don't know. We have no clue what it's thinking. And it's not just Colossal Waddle Dee who's acting like this. A bunch of good former friends have started acting weirdly, one after another. Mr. Frosty, King Dew, Kibble Blade. We couldn't just ignore it, so we decided to train ourselves to become hunters, in order to keep things under control and stop all those rampages. Hunters? That's what people call warriors who fight enemies. If you want an example, well, you're looking at 3 of them right now. Listen, rookie. Green Kirby leaned over the table. Been thinking about it for a while. Would you mind joining us? Huh? The 3 of us aren't enough to take them on. We need more power on our side. Our only real attacker here is really heavy and slow. Yellow Kirby nodded. I'm a force to be reckoned with if I do say so myself, but I move at a snail's pace. We need someone who can move quickly, run over to the enemy side and attack them, you know? We've always talked about how it'd be nice to have an agile sword fighter on the team. The trio looked at Meta Knight. Meta Knight looked the other way, drinking his hot cocoa. We tried to recruit Mr. Meta Knight, but he rejected us. Green Kirby whispered. He just wanted to show off. He doesn't like sharing the battle spotlight with others. He was like, I am the lone swordsman, I prefer to fight alone. But all he ever does is sit here and drink hot cocoa. The trio shut their mouths when Meta Knight cleared his throat. So, that's why it'd really help us out if you joined the team as a sword fighter. Alright, I'll do it. Kirby quickly nodded his head. He felt inclined to listen to the Kirby's demands. After all, they were just like him in every way. Besides, if there were some more rampaging monsters causing trouble and hurting a lot of people, he'd want to do something to stop it. The Kirbys were delighted. I knew you'd say that, Ricky. Well then, let's get going to buy you some gear. Yellow Kirby stood up, but Blue Kirby stopped him. Hold on, before we do that, let's celebrate the formation of our team. Celebrate the formation of our team? Our newly formed party of 4. Everyone, let's take an oath of friendship. Yeah! The Kirbys excitedly nodded their heads and raised their fists. I'm Kirby. I'm Kirby. I'm Kirby. I'm Kirby. Together, we're 4. I love how all 4 Kirbys are distinct in how they act and talk, but they all have that friendly, carefree spirit about them. I just realized something though. For Kirby, he's the only one of his kind in the books, it seems, which means there's no Kirby in the book universe, and that makes me very sad. I love Kirby a lot, so that's not great. So Chef Kawasaki mentions it must be confusing to coordinate attacks if they're all called Kirby, and suggests they use their colors as code names, but the Kirbys don't like it, so they decide to call each other by class, so they become Sword, Hammer, Beam, and Dr. Kirby. So the chapter ends as thus. The Kirbys' faces lit up. The four raised the glasses containing their drinks up high. I'm Hammer, I'm Beam, I'm Doctor, I'm Sword. Together we're four. With strength in their voices, and the group shouted, and together we're Team Kirby. We get an image of all four Kirbys toasting to each other with drinks in hand and food in front of them. That last shot got me excited for this book. Kirby's in a more combat-heavy world and is teamed up with 3 other versions of himself, so that's hype as heck. So the full names in the game version are Sword Hero, Hammer Lord, Beam Mage, and Dr. Healmore. I love the name of the Doctor, such a funny name. Chapter 3. Sally Forth, Team Kirby. At the start of the chapter, they finally explained to Kirby that gem apples are the currency in town. Bandana Dee is the guardian of the tree, and he equally hands out gem apples to everyone come harvest time. The gem apples were a mechanic in the game. You earn them for completing missions, or for putting in special passwords that HAL Labs gave out at the time, or you could buy them with real money, which would strengthen the gem apple tree to make more apples per harvest. The gem apples were used to buy equipment, extend hunting times, and give vigor when you were low on it from hunting so much. You could also use gem apples to recruit other characters to fight with you, and for revives mid-combat. The tree gave only a couple apples every 12 hours if you were playing for free, but as stated before, it gave more if you spent money. Some people didn't like this mechanic since they're microtransactions, but it made it more pay for convenience and eventually just paying for the game. Apparently it was worse in Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, how little apples you got, while Super Kirby Clash gave a bit more apples, making it easier. But basically, you could buy more gem apples with money, and Magolor would talk to you about that too, so you don't go crazy. But here's the thing, you could only spend up to $20 worth of gem apples. That would max out the tree, and then you could not spend any more money on the game. So basically, you were paying for the game if you spent that much money at that point. For Super Kirby Clash, since it was a later game on the Switch, that would be $40. I did that. I paid $40 for the game because I felt like, I gotta give them money, I don't want to just play this for free. And I was happy with that. The gem apple tree gave me plenty, and I was able to do plenty with it. By the way, there were 256 missions in Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, so wow, that is a lot. And yeah, you would also get apples from completing missions, and, by the way, in lore, yes, the gem apples are in fact edible. Magolor mentions eating them himself. So the Kirbys explain gem apples to Kirby, and Bandana Dee harvests the gem apples and puts them in a basket and gives everyone their share. We get an image of 3 gem apples in a basket, and they look, well, like gems that are apple-shaped. That's about it. They say they're gonna head to a shop to buy gear for Kirby to fight with, but Kirby says he has copy ability. The trio don't know what that is, so Kirby tries to show it by using Burning Leo as an example. Kirby tries to use his vacuum ability, but it doesn't work. Nothing happens, so Burning Leo greets Kirby and sits back on a bench. Kirby keeps trying until his face is red, and he's exhausted. Kirby's confused. Why isn't his copy ability working? The trio call Kirby a weirdo, and Kirby sighs and gives up and says, okay, let's go buy the gear then. They arrive at the shop, and Kirby's shocked to see it's Magolor running the shop, except he's dressed in green instead of blue. We get an image of Kirby being surprised as Magolor greets them. Magolor, like everyone else so far, wonders why Pink Kirby knows his name when they've never met. Kirby remembers all the terrible things his Magolor did, but remembers this isn't his world, so he lets it go and treats this one as a new Magolor. The irony, of course, though, is, of course at the time of this book, we would believe this is a different Magolor, but ever since 2024, we know Magolor in the Dream Kingdom is the same Magolor Kirby knows. He has the power to dimension hop at this point. If you play Super Kirby Clash, you learn he's saving up the gem apples for something important, which you learn in Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is he was saving the gem apples to build his amusement park, because that was his ultimate dream when he was tricking Kirby in the first game. So now I need to read this part so you get a sense of Magolor. While the people living in this world looked just like the inhabitants of Dreamland, they were quite different in other aspects. Bandana Waddle Dee was a bit more fashionable than normal Waddle Dee. Meta Knight was a bit more conceited and show-offy than the Meta Knight that Kirby knew. That meant there was a possibility that Magolor here didn't retain all of his counterparts' characteristics. Back in Kirby's world, he was a malicious liar, but perhaps here he was an honest person. Hello, Magolor, Hammer said. Today we've come to buy some gear for the new Kirby right here. Always happy to serve you 3. I've got plenty of weapons and armor in stock. This kid wants to be a sword fighter. Show us your sword fighter gear. Oh ho, I have just the thing. It's a bargain. Maglar pulled out and showed them a sword and a helmet. Here, the beginner's helm and blade. Quite handy and affordable. Nah, they're cheap. But they're not good enough either. Got anything a little better? Of course. Here, the swordman set. If you choose to purchase this gear, there'll be a full-fledged sword fighter in the blink of an eye. It's a bargain. Seems good to me. Come on, Sword, try it on. Huh? Wait, me? Kirby hadn't gotten used to being called Sword yet. He shyly accepted the sword and helmet. The blade fit into Kirby's hand as if it were stuck to it. The helmet also fit like a glove. Well, yeah, because, that's the way things stick to Kirby's. A perfect match. Looking good, dude. Maglar clapped and praised him. Kirby was happy, then turned around right on the spot. We get an image of Kirby in the sword gear, and he looks so cute. Feels good. I choose this. Thank you for your business. With the swordsman blade and helm set, that'll be 20 gem apples. Huh? That's expensive, Doctor said with a pout. This is the newbie's first gear. Can't you give us a discount? Is that so? Yes, I see. Consider this as a customary gift from me. I'll knock the price down to 7 gem apples. Really? Wow. Thanks, Maglar. Team Kirby jumped up and cheered. Kirby, having officially become Sword, was, of course, overjoyed. The Maglar of this world was very different from the one he knew after all. He seemed kind and generous. I'm sorry for not trusting you at first, he thought as he handed over the 7 gem apples as payment. So now you see how Maglar is in this world. Seems a little suspicious, of course, but innocent Kirby won't think that. So the four walk out of the village in single file, and they chat as they walk around, and this happens. Sword, Doctor said, pushing aside the grass as he went along. This is your first fight. Don't push yourself too hard. I'll be fine. Kirby was filled with enthusiasm. This was the first time he was going to fight without using a copy ability, and yet he wasn't even a little bit scared. His blade and helmet looked good. Just by wearing them, Kirby felt filled with power. We're all gonna have to work together for this, Doctor said. Each of us play a different role. My role's hitting the enemy with Time Beam and stopping time. Beam added, when I stop time, that's when you and the Hammer come in and beat him to a pulp. Got it. When you get injured, it won't do any good to fight too hard. Don't worry, Doctor will treat you before you can get immobilized. And Sword, your role is important for more than just attacking. That's because you have the Hero Shield. Hero Shield? The Hero Shield can block enemy attacks, not just to protect yourself, but to protect others as well. How do I do that? The Kirby trio stopped walking. Yep, Hammer said. Once again, Sword has no clue how to use his weapon, huh? We're gonna have to practice before we go in. The way you use the Hero Shield is... Doctor was about to explain when suddenly a thudding sound could be heard. At the same time as the sound, the ground shook. It's coming! Hammer readied his weapon. Those footsteps, it sounds like Isekai'd, he said. He's a pretty formidable foe, Sword. Step back. Huh? What? You're still not ready. This is our fight. Just watch from the side. With these words quickly said, Beam held his staff high and broke off running. Appearing after pushing his way through the grass was the steel soldier himself, Isekai'd. He was a large thug with a big sword, and hard armor protecting his whole body. Kirby had fought him several times in his world, however this world's Isekai'd seemed more violent and menacing than the original. Isekai'd suddenly readied his giant sword and rushed in to attack the Kirbys. Everyone be careful! Beam shouted and waved his staff. A blue light came out from the tip of his staff, directly hit by the beam of light. Isekai'd stopped moving for a second. However, to time stop, Beam would have to hit him many times with time beams. He was about to continue attacking when Isekai'd swung downward. Beam quickly jumped and dodged the attack. Hammer stepped forward to protect Beam. Take this! Hammer shouted as he summoned all his strength and dealt a heavy blow. Even Isekai'd's steel body couldn't endure it. Isekai'd fell on his back on the ground. Hooray! The Kirbys cheered, but Isekai'd quickly unleashed a counterattack. Getting up with such unimaginable ease and speed, he came charging right toward Hammer. What? The large iron hammer that Hammer was holding was very heavy. No matter what he did, he moved slowly. He was about to run away in a panic, but he was no match for Isekai'd's speed. Isekai'd swung down with his large sword, appearing to be aiming at Hammer. Hammer reflexively held up his weapon and blocked the attack. A direct hit was avoided, but he sent his hammer flying out of his hands. Ugh! My hands! Ugh! Hammer groaned. He had sustained injuries to his hands from that one strong attack. Isekai'd was about to continue attacking without mercy when... I'll get you treatment. Beam, cover me! On it! Beam raised his staff and cast Time Beam after Time Beam. Isekai'd staggered, but he didn't stop moving. It was hard to stop time with small attacks after small attacks. Doctor evaded Isekai'd's attacks, rushed over to Hammer, and attempted to provide medical treatment. However, his movement did not go unnoticed by Isekai'd. Paying no attention to Beam, he chased after Doctor. Doctor was the team healer. If he were taken out, the party would be wiped out. Kirby, the pink Kirby known as Sword, anxiously watched his friends from the sides, but in the end couldn't hold himself back. While he wasn't used to fighting in this world, he couldn't just keep quiet and watch everyone suffer. He jumped into the fray at a higher speed than it takes to think. Hey, come and get me! Kirby firmly pressed his feet against the ground and sprung up and slashed Gigan'd. It was a powerful attack! With a blow to the helmet, Gigan'd was knocked off balance and was close to falling over. However, that was only for a second. Gigan'd immediately readied his sword again, and again was about to slash at Doctor. Kirby kept yelling and slashing at him. Over here! I'm your opponent! This way! Kirby's frantic shouts didn't seem to reach Gigan'd, who continued to aim at Doctor. Doctor was taking longer than expected to heal Hammer's wounds. Gigan'd raised his large sword up. If that were to hit, Doctor and Hammer would both have to withdraw from the fight. If that were to happen, it'd be game over already. Beam held his staff up high and fiercely waved it. Stop! No! Time! Stop! However, time would not stop. The group was done for surely. Kirby, in this all-or-nothing situation, jumped up to Gigan'd, was about to kindly gift the wounded group a certain knockout slash to the heads. Then suddenly, Kirby looked at his companions' faces. Hammer, Doctor, Beam. Though they were tired out, their eyes hadn't lost their brightness. Each were desperate to fulfill their roles. The moment he noticed this, Kirby remembered his role. Right now, Kirby wasn't fighting alone. He had friends he could rely on. He was fighting for his friends. Just recklessly swinging around his sword wouldn't do any good. He had to believe in everyone, to fight with everyone. Kirby stopped slashing Gigan'd, and instead raised his sword up high. Focusing, he shouted, It's my job to protect everyone! Hero Shield! Then suddenly some kind of dome or shield emanating light appeared, covering the Kirbys. Gigan'd swung downward with his big sword, resulting in a high-pitched clanging sound upon impact. The shining shield completely blocked the hit. Gigan'd was taken aback, then furiously slashed over and over again. However, the shield blocked every attack thrown at it. We're saved, thanks, sword, Doctor said happily as he continued to treat Hammer. As the wounds healed, Hammer was instantly energized. Alright, serious mode starts now. Hammer readied his weapon again. At the same time, finally, Beam's time-stopping magic worked. Everyone and everything stopped moving. Of course, this meant even the bending grass, the blowing breeze, and of course, Gigan'd. In the space where time stopped, the only ones who could move were Team Kirby. Hammer raised his iron hammer up high, glaring at the enemy and attacked with all his strength. Now, let's go! His yellow face was tinged with red. His hammer began to light up as if covered in fire. Then, once its power was fully charged up, take this! Hammer flip! We get an image of Hammer Kirby breaking parts of Gigan'd's armor off. As he yelled this with all his might, Hammer dealt a scathing blow to Gigan'd. The strongest attack enough to crush rocks. His steel armor cracked like glass. Once time started flowing again, Gigan'd was no longer able to stand. He dropped his sword and fell to the ground with a loud thud. He didn't move after that. Team Kirby, whom had been holding their breath in anticipation, all cheered. Hooray! We took down Gigan'd! Good job, Hammer! Sure, I'm the one who finished him off, but the real hero of this fight is... Hammer grabbed Pink Kirby's hand. Sword, you! Me? Yeah, even though it was your first time, you totally nailed it. If it weren't for that shield, we would have been done for. Beam had a gleam of curiosity in his eyes. How did you know how to use the hero shield? We haven't explained it to you yet. Somehow? Kirby didn't remember how he put up the shield. However, he did know one thing. I just thought about you guys, he said cheerfully, looking up. About how you guys all fight as hard as you can. Then it was like my body just moved by itself and put up the shield. The Kirby trio exchanged looks, then powerfully nodded their heads. Thanks to the power of teamwork, we're able to take down a formidable foe. We've got 4 bodies, but we have 1 heart. We are! The Kirbys each raised their weapons and shouted together, Team Kirby! So that's the end of the chapter, and it was a great read. So they went over all kinds of different attacks that everyone can do and how they fight, and this is a really cool fight with Gigan'd. I'm really loving this book. Chapter 4. Who's behind all of this? Weeks pass, and Kirby spends every day battling alongside his new friends. Sometimes they fight up to 5 or 6 times a day. This is a reference to the Vigor system in the game. This also gives you a sense they're working through the 256 missions in the game. Kirby and his friends beat everything that they run into. Kirby had completely forgotten used to the world, and Kirby got along with everyone. Especially Bandana Waddle Dee. Every day, Kirby would leave the inn and go see Bandana Dee. He'd get his gem apples from the harvest, and they would chat all day until the other Kirbys came to get him. Then we get this conversation, which shows why Bandana Dee will always be Kirby's bro, no matter the dimension. Bandana Waddle Dee filled a basket with gem apples and handed them to Kirby. Like always, thank you. You've sure saved up a lot of gem apples. Aren't you gonna buy some new gear soon? Buy new gear? But I like what I've got right now. They work just fine, but you should be upgrading your weapons and armor over time. Using more powerful weapons will make battles a heck of a lot easier. I see. Well then, I just gotta head over to Magalor's shop again. Remembering how kind Magalor was to him, Kirby smiled. Magalor's a really cool guy, you know? Kirby said, which seemed to surprise Bandana Waddle Dee. Huh? Magalor? Cool. Yeah, I mean, this blade and helmet were my first gear ever, so he gave me a special discount. A discount from Magalor? No way. The actual cost was 20 gem apples, but he knocked the price down to 7 for me. 7 gem apples? For the swordsman set? Bandana Waddle Dee paled, speaking in a shaky voice. Seeing him like this, Kirby gradually grew happier. Listen, you'd be surprised. He's really generous, you know? Kirby, let's go to Magalor's shop, Bandana Waddle Dee said in a sharp voice, grabbing Kirby's hand. Huh? You're coming too? Yes, it's dangerous for you to go alone. What do you mean? I'm not gonna go get lost or anything. Look, we're going together and that's final. Kirby was dragged by Bandana Waddle Dee toward the shop. Yo, Pink Dude. Glad you came. How you feeling right now? Magalor greeted Kirby with fondness in his voice. However, once he noticed Bandana Waddle Dee, his attitude seemed to take a slight turn for the board. If I'm not mistaken, you're the person who guards the gem apples, right? What are you doing over here, then? Slacking off? Oh, just going shopping with Kirby, that's all. I'll go back as soon as we get done. But there's no need for your help. I'll help our pink friend here choose the perfect gear. Magalor? Bandana Waddle Dee said in a harsh voice, stepping forward as if to protect Kirby. I can't tolerate you tricking Kirby like that, when he was still so new to the village. Huh? What are you on about? You really think I'd do something like that? How horrible. Magalor said in a tearful voice, covering his face with his hands. However, Bandana Waddle Dee's attitude did not change. I'm not gonna be fooled by you fake crying, buddy. That swordsman said you sold Kirby the real price. No! Magalor cut Bandana Dee off by noticeably raising his voice. I'm so sorry. Because of my poor business practices, I must have made my dear pink pal here feel so terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Magalor? Shocked, Kirby comforted Magalor. It's not like that at all. I love the gear you picked for me. Really? Yeah, it looks really good on me. Oh yeah, and thanks for the discount you gave me. Oh, I know, my dear pink friend. This makes me so happy. Magalor smiled as if nothing had ever happened. Why, you little... Bandana Waddle Dee was burning with rage. Waddle Dee? Kirby said. Why are you so mad? There's no reason to pick on Magalor. Kirby. Bandana Waddle Dee, noticing Kirby's huffy look, felt dejected. It's okay, Magalor said in a soft, kind voice. I don't mind, really. As long as Pink Kirby's here is happy, it's all fine by me. Hearing this flustered Bandana Waddle Dee, Kirby, on the other hand, was his same naive, gullible self. The swordsman said that Magalor had kindly sold to Kirby for 7 gem apples was about the most basic of gear. Its real price was only 2 gem apples. However, if he were to reveal the truth and take it out on Magalor, Kirby's smile would certainly disappear into thin air. The color of his blade and helmet would probably fade away. In fact, he'd probably even lose the will to fight. Bandana Waddle Dee didn't want such a thing to happen, so he just decided to put up with the feelings of frustration. I just want to see Kirby smile, he said. Magalor, show me your new gear. Whatever suits Kirby the best. Got it. I have only the finest products in stock. The best of the best. Magalor promptly took out a new blade and helmet. The unicorn blade and helm. Custom made, fitted with unicorn horns. We seldom have it in stock, so it's a must-buy when you see it. Wow, looks good. Kirby had a glimmer in his eyes. The unicorn blade was a fine sword with a spiraling blade. The helm, too, looked strong at first glance, with the protruding spiral attached. Bandana Waddle Dee was fascinated. Magalor's business was a dishonest one, but most of the products he sold were of good quality. We see Kirby in his unicorn blade set, and it looks hilariously silly to me. Blade in hand and helm on head, Kirby excitedly shouted, Feels good, really good. I'll take these ones. Thanks for your business. Oh, and here's a little something extra just for you. Now, this is normally a really high-class item. Costs 100 gem apples, but I'll let you have the set for only 60. Upon seeing Bandana Waddle Dee glaring at him, Magalor stopped and corrected himself. Scratch that. I mean, you can have them for 50. Magalor? Bandana Waddle Dee looked at him. I know, I'll reduce the price more. 48? No. 46. Bandana Waddle Dee nodded his head. That was a normal price for the items. Kirby jumped. Really? You're really gonna cut the price down that much? Really, normally I could never sell them at such a price. But well, you're my favorite customer. Thank you. You're too kind. With great emotion, Kirby handed over the gem apples needed to pay. I don't know why that's the Magalor voice I chose, but I think it's because I just have so many other voices in these registers. I had to make him so very different. And also something kind of schemy. That feels like a more schemy voice. So wow, Magolor ripped Kirby off pretty bad the first time. So we heard some prices. The first set was supposed to be 2 gem apples, but Magolor sold them for 7, so wow, again. The unicorn set should be 46, so Bandana Waddle Dee got Magolor to go down to the base price without ripping off Kirby at all. Overall, Magolor got 5 more gem apples than he should have with the first set when he sold it to Kirby, so I'm curious what the markup is with these things when you think about materials and all that. And then labor, of course. By the way, it is revealed in-game that Magolor makes all the equipment himself. Magolor is an accomplished blacksmith, apparently, so that's cool. So villagers see Kirby in his new gear and comment on it. Kirby then says he wishes he could show his gear to Waddle Dee, and Bandana Dee asks what does he mean since he's right there. Kirby tries to change the subject, but knows Bandana Dee will not let it go. Waddle Dee was his best friend in his world, and this Waddle Dee is his best friend in this world. So Kirby sits down with Bandana Dee and tells him he's not from there, and Bandana Dee says, yeah, another village. But no, Kirby explains everything. Dreamland, the library, the book, all of it. Kirby isn't sure if Bandana Dee will believe him, but Bandana Dee knows Kirby wouldn't lie to him, so he does. So Bandana Dee accepts the story and Kirby feels great relief. The two laugh together and Bandana Dee finds it funny there's a version of himself there, and they're the same. Kirby says the same with everyone. There's Chef Kawasaki, there's a Burning Leo, a Meta Knight, a Magolor, a... Then Kirby realizes something. Where's King Dedede? Bandana Dee wonders who that is. Kirby tells him that in his world, Waddle Dee serves King Dedede and respects him a lot, but Bandana Dee doesn't know that name at all. Kirby realizes this is very shocking. For sure, if King Dedede was in this world, he would have heard about him by now. King Dedede isn't one for modesty at all. We learn then that Kirby sees King Dedede not as a friend, but as someone he enjoys competing with. King Dedede treats the rivalry more meanly than Kirby does, which leads to annoyance for Waddle Dee and Meta Knight. But learning King Dedede wasn't in this world at all made Kirby sad. Bandana Dee sees Kirby's sad face and tries to cheer him up by saying King Dedede is probably in another village. The kingdom is pretty big. This helps Kirby feel better, and Kirby figures he'll run into King Dedede eventually. Then the other Kirby show up and Kirby cheers up. It's snack time / strategy meeting time. Kirby asks the trio if they've met a King Dedede, but they haven't either. Then Chef Kawasaki lets them know some new quests have come in. It's been these 4 hunters cleaning up the area around the village and making the place safer for everyone, and when they complete quests, they get gifts. This would be gem apples like in the game. Doctor and Chef Kawasaki mentioned that the land used to be a lot more peaceful, but things changed a while back. People just started going crazy and acting like they were pulled by strings. Midnight chimes in that there'd have to be some master of puppetry to do this. We get an image of Midnight talking to the Kirbys while he enjoys some hot cocoa. This grabs Kirby's attention, because he knows someone who did that in the past. Kirby then remembers their name, and Kirby blurts out that Taranza wouldn't do something evil like this again. He's good now. Midnight asks if Kirby knows Taranza, but Kirby doesn't answer. He'd have to explain he came from another world. But this is a secret he only wanted to tell Bandana Dee for now. Taranza, as players know, was Queen Sectonia's second in command. He puppeted King Dedede and Kirby's Triple Deluxe and turned against his queen in the end to stop her. Unfortunately, the queen was too corrupted and Kirby had to kill her in the end. Kirby then realizes this isn't his Taranza, so it's possible he may be up to no good. So Kirby decides they can't ignore the possibility and they should go look for him. No one is sure where to look for Taranza though, but then Kirby remembers Taranza lived in the sky, on a floating continent named Floralia. He can't just tell them about the sky continent, so Kirby says Taranza likes high places. After some confusion about how high that could be, Midnight interjects that there is a world above the clouds called Empyrean. The Kirbys decide to move on to head over to Empyrean, but Midnight stops them. They can't just float themselves up there. Then Chef Kawasaki recommends a balloon. It's something the village used to use a long time ago, so they decide to do that. The chapter ends as they leave the tavern to do it. So we get a great chapter giving us info on Kirby acclimating to the world, learning more about Bandana Dee and Magolor, and Kirby's secret, and who the big bad might be. So that was a pretty fun chapter right there. Chapter 5, Riding in a Balloon. The balloon in town is old and worn out, but with Bandana Dee's help they patch up the balloon. Beam tells Bandana Dee they'll be in trouble if the balloon rips, but Bandana Dee is confident in their sewing abilities. We get an image of Bandana Dee sewing the balloon in the background while Kirbys and Meta Knight talk. Meta Knight tells the Kirbys Empyrean is a dangerous place because it's in the clouds, so the ground is unstable. They have to be careful or they may fall headfirst from the skies. Also, the enemies are stronger there, but Hammer is full of confidence. Then Meta Knight tells them the place has a guardian angel named Landia, and Kirby blurts out in shock. Meta Knight becomes suspicious of Kirby, but Kirby says he's only heard the name. The narrator tells us Landia is a being of Helcondra that Kirby and friends fought because Magolor tricked them into fighting the beast. Landia only attacked Kirby because he was after the Master Crown. Landia was kind once it saw Kirby and his friends were kind-hearted. Kirby tries to explain things away by saying he's traveled around a lot and heard many names. Midnight then tells them about Landia, how it's a four-headed dragon, and I love the joke that comes up. The Kirbys are surprised, and they're like, what do you do if each head wanted to go to a different restaurant? Just thinking of the beast's appetite makes them worried about the fight. But then they realize, wait, you would just take turns going to each restaurant instead of trying to do all four at once. These boys are so silly, I love it so much. Midnight is of course dumbfounded by this silliness and gets back on track. Midnight tells them there's no restaurant in Empyrean, so they don't have to worry about that. Which shocks the Kirbys. Oh my god, these boys. They're more interested in what does Landia eat, but Midnight tries to move on. They're gonna have to fight this beast, and if they're winning, Landia will split into 4 dragons, so they'll have to prepare for that. The Kirbys fall silent, but Hammer shows courage and says they'll be fine in a nervous voice. There's 4 dragons and 4 of them, so they'll be fine. Kirby, however, doesn't want to fight Landia. Kirby knows Landia to be a good dragon in his world and can't imagine Landia being evil here. So Midnight takes that as Kirby being intimidated, but the other 3 are confident they can win. But eventually the trio notice Kirby's only looking at the ground. The trio grow concerned and ask Kirby what's wrong. Kirby says he wants to try to talk to Landia first. Midnight thinks that's a bad idea, but Kirby wants to at least try first. He wants to try to reason with Landia and Taranza. Midnight lets it go, but his confidence in them drops. Bandana Dee interrupts, telling them he's finished with the balloon, so they thank Bandana Dee, get in the basket, and fly off, promising to take down the Master of Puppetry. So this was a short transitionary chapter. We got more characterization of everyone, and we see Kirby is deep down a good kid as always, very kind with great power. Unfortunately, Kirby is not known for his talk no jutsu, however. Still, it's good to know Kirby isn't just a cold killer. Kirby does try to reason with people, which infers Kirby probably tried to reason with Sectonia before he killed her in Triple Deluxe. Chapter 6. Come on, to the Empyrean we go! The Kirbys land and it's just clouds as far as the eyes can see. But there are spire-like buildings in the distance. All the Kirbys are shocked by a world among the clouds, and eventually Beam points to the spires, figuring Taranza would be that way. Kirby jumps into the lead and runs ahead. The floor is described as light and they sink a little into it with each step. This is because they are fluffy clouds, so they need to be careful. Especially Hammer, who has to drag a heavy weapon around. Beam mentions they should be fine in these clouds since they have the hover ability, but things won't be easy. Kirby reiterates that he wants to try to talk first, but then they're interrupted by a strong wind and the sound of large wings flapping. A giant shadow flies above them. Landia has arrived. The Kirbys huddle together as Landia slowly comes down towards them. Kirby rushes out and smiles and waves and calls out to Landia. Beam questions Kirby's insanity. Doctor chooses to believe in Kirby, and Hammer just can't believe how big and cool Landia is. The Kirbys keep huddling to defend themselves against the wind gusts, while Kirby keeps trying to talk to Landia, but then we get an image of Landia swooping down towards the Kirbys. Basically reading the rest of this chapter because it is epic. The Kirbys rolled away in an attempt to dodge with all they had in them. Luckily, the soft, fluffy clouds underneath softened the fall and minimized damage. Landia, please listen to me. We don't want to fight you, Kirby shouted, running around trying to escape. But Landia's harsh roars drowned out his voice. Each of the 4 heads opened their big mouths and let out ferocious sounds. The strong winds caused by his wings became as sharp as blades, rushing in to attack the Kirbys. The 4 were about to be sliced to pieces by the blades when... Hero Shield! Kirby promptly raised his sword and protected his friends. A transparent dome repelled the wind blades. Landia, seeing this, let out an irritated roar. Sword, it doesn't look like talking's gonna work. Doctor shouted, we're gonna have to fight. But it's just a waste of time. I can tell just by looking at it. It was just as Doctor said. Landia was not in the state to be able to talk. Rampaging, he swooped down to attack. At this rate, the group was going to be beaten to dust. Kirby, putting in all his strength, adjusted his grip on the unicorn blade. I know, I'll fight. Alrighty then, let's do this. First Hammer jumped out. However, due to his heavy weapon, he was unable to jump up high. Landia, who was soaring high above, was unreachable. I'll lure Landia down here. Kirby swung his sword and jumped agilely. He quickly slashed at Landia, then jumped out of the way before he could counterattack. Moving around continuously, he tempted Landia. Landia, chasing after Kirby's movement, suddenly came down low. Hammer, seeing the opportunity, came in to strike. Yeah, giant swing! As if to mow him down. He swung at Landia with all his might. Taking the powerful blow, Landia crashed into the clouds. There, Beam was able to hit him with powerful bursts of magic. As Landia writhed in pain, his eyes glowed red. Come over here! Doctor shouted at Landia's body split into 4. It was just as Midnight had warned. Having taken damage, Landia split into 4 beings. The 4 Landias all simultaneously flew up high, and each aimed for Team Kirby before rushing toward them. Ah! The whole group got hit by the attack and was blown away. Healing staging area! Doctor quickly mixed a bunch of chemicals together and treated everyone. Two Landias aimed to attack Doctor from both sides. Kirby, noticing this, readied his sword horizontally and dashed with great energy. Drill stab! He thrust into one of the Landias with all his strength. The attack hit with great power. The Landia, having been slashed at, let out a loud scream-like sound. When suddenly, right before Kirby's eyes, a mysterious object came tumbling down. Huh? What's this thing? Kirby instantly forgot about the fight and picked up the dropped object. It was an old-looking stone tablet. We get an image of that stone tablet. A power tablet! It had a rough surface, with what looked like words engraved into it, but Kirby couldn't read them. However, he felt great power flowing out of the power tablet. It seemed to heal the fatigue caused by battle. It seemed to soothe his soul. What's this thing? Did Landia drop this? Sword, don't just start spacing out like that! Beam's sharp voice snapped Kirby back to reality. Kirby panicked and looked up. Landia was above him, about to breathe fire. Beam raised the staff overhead, trying to stop it. Thanks, Beam! Looking away isn't any good right now. Focus! Focus! Beam's attack landed. Then again, another object came flying out. The stone tablet rolled down to Beam's feet. What's this? Beam picked up the power tablet and stared at it carefully. Landia continued attacking. Doctor and Hammer came rushing over. Sword, Beam, what are you two doing? Stop slacking off. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let me handle this. Have at thee. Hammer swung his weapon upward, unleashing a powerful attack. Then again, a third power tablet appeared. Huh? What's this? Hammer, like the others, stopped focusing on the battle to instead inspect the tablet. Doctor waved his flask around in annoyance. Oh, come on, not you too, Hammer. Snap out of it. There's no time to care for stuff like that. But Doctor, look at this. It's got something written on it. Just leave it behind. Taking advantage of the opening left by the two's conversation, the Landias attacked. Kirby, regardless of this, tried to use himself as a decoy to lure the Landias away, running around where they could see him. The four Landias' eyes were drawn to Kirby. Doctor, not missing the opportunity, quickly mixed together some medicine. Take this. Spray medicine. Aiming for the Landia flying above him, he sprayed poisonous-colored medicine above him. Appearing to catch sight of this, Landia lost balance and fell. Then once again, a power tablet appeared. Oh, another tablet! Kirby was about to pick it up, but Doctor quickly blocked the way by putting his hand out from the side. There's no need to look at this thing. We're in the middle of a battle here. Doctor was about to throw away the power tablet, but then the tablets in the Kirby's hand started sparkling. Huh? What's happening? Doctor screamed, seeming startled. The four power tablets gave off a strong light. It was as if they were calling out to each other. Kirby promptly held his tablet up high. He didn't know why, however, as if led by the tablet, his body moved on its own. Without a word spoken, their hearts were one. Beam, Hammer, Doctor, they all made the same pose. The light of the power tablet shone right to the skies above, very, very high and far away, up in the far reaches of the galaxy. The four beams of light crossed each other, creating a huge photosphere. We get an image of the four Kirbys holding up their pieces of the tablet and a meteor flying down. The photosphere, as though bouncing back from the far reach of the galaxy, came back in a straight line. Growing in power, it came down at high speeds. The Landias didn't even have a chance to try to get away. It was a direct hit on all four of them. As to be expected, the Landias were all taken down and stopped moving altogether. Once the photosphere took down the Landias, it disappeared without a trace. The Empyrean went back to the peaceful way it was before the battle had taken place. The Kirbys were surprised. They had no clue what just happened. Now what? Beam muttered in a shaky voice. Is this the power of the stone tablets? What even were those things? Kirby waved his hand toward Landia. Oh, wow. You guys took down the guardian angel of the Empyrean? What a terrifying team, said a panicked voice. It was a voice Kirby knew all too well. Kirby turned around and locked eyes with the person who spoke. Silver hair with 2 horns and 6 hands capable of movement, floating in the air, looking down on Kirby. We get an image of Kirby looking at Taranza with his sword drawn. Taranza! Kirby shouted. Taranza seemed displeased with an air of superiority and glared at Kirby. I would like for you to not call out to me in such an overly familiar manner. You lot, if I'm remembering correctly, are the Kirbys. We came here to see you, Taranza. Kirby looked up at Taranza, then complained. There's a ton of bad stuff happening in the Dream Kingdom. People who used to be really nice started acting all violent. They're worrying everyone. Taranza, do you by any chance know what's going on? Huh? I have no clue what you're talking about. Not for something more important than that. Suddenly, Taranza's eyes lit up. Seeing the fierce anger reflected in his eyes, Kirby recoiled. Taranza continued in a spiteful voice. Going as far as to defeat Landia? Why, that's something I couldn't possibly forgive. If you four dare to interfere with my plan any further, I won't show you any mercy. Taranza? Taranza raised 4 of his hands up high and created a ball of magic. Listen to us, Taranza! Kirby's plea didn't reach him. Taranza threw ball after ball of accumulated magic at the group. Hero Shield! Kirby blocked the attacks with a strong dome-shaped barrier. It seems that the battles after landing aren't gonna be any easier, Doctor yelled. You don't know what this Taranza guy's tactics are. Taranza's good at controlling people, Kirby said, remembering a certain incident from long ago. Taranza used to serve the queen of a country in the sky, Queen Sectonia. He controlled King Dedede and made him fight Kirby. If Taranza uses his mind control powers, things are really gonna get bad. Really bad. We gotta beat him up before he can do that. My turn! That yell came from Beam. I'll stop the clock with my staff. Everyone, please cover for me. Got it! The Kirbys scattered in all directions, engaging their operation to grab Taranza's attention. I won't let you get in my way! I won't let you get in my way! Taranza muttered to himself, then sent his 4 hands out widely. Out of the tips of his fingers came magic strings. Suddenly the strings met and formed a magic web-like net, which he then threw at the Kirbys. Watch out! Kirby shouted loudly. If you get caught in that thing, you'll be under his control. Beam and Doctor managed to run away out of the attack. However, the slow-moving hammer got caught in it. Ugh! The entangled hammer struggled, trying to resist. However, he couldn't break a net made of magic. Oh ho ho! You'll make an excellent puppet. The triumphant Taranza was about to forcefully pull the net in when, suddenly, a time beam that Beam had fired landed a direct hit on Taranza. Hit by the attack, Taranza froze in place, right in that pose. The wind, the clouds, everything stopped moving. Okie dokie, I stopped the clock. Beam yelled, now's the time to strike! Doctor headed toward Hammer to rescue him. Kirby tightly gripped his unicorn blade and looked up at Taranza, who had stopped midair. Taranza, why? Of course, no response. Taranza was unmoving as a doll. Though the look should have been one of hatred, Kirby felt as if his heart were being tightly gripped. Somehow, he looks lonely. Kirby, feeling the loneliness reach himself, lowered his sword. Got the net off! Doctor shouted. Sword, finish him! Yeah, got it! Kirby nodded his head and readjusted his grip on the sword. Taranza, master of puppetry. He was one controlling people to make them lash out at others, disturbing the peace of the Dream Kingdom. He couldn't overlook it. Taranza! Stop causing people trouble, please! Kirby boldly jumped, damaging the frozen in mid-air enemy from below with a twister slash. As soon as he landed the hit, the time beam's effects wore off. Taranza fell to the ground, facing upward. Having taken such a strong hit, he fell unconscious. So 2 epic fights in a row, that was really cool there. Well, that one was way quicker, of course, the second one. So they tap Taranza, and then Landia shows up, mostly regenerated. They become one dragon again, and the Kirbys put their guard up, but Landia grabs Taranza and flies away. We get an image of what I just said, and that's the end of Chapter 6. The fights were so good, and they weaved in moves and mechanics from the game. I love it. I really love how good this author is at doing that. Chapter 7. All resolved. Or not? Curious chapter name there. The story picks up after the Kirbys retell what they did in Empyrean to Chef Kawasaki at the tavern. With Taranza defeated, everyone thinks the village is saved, and Chef Kawasaki lets the Kirbys eat all they want for the day. So we ask them questions as he brings them more plates of food. Hammer puts the credit of victory to Kirby's attack. Even if Taranza will be up to no good again, it won't be for a long time because he was very badly wounded by Kirby, and they'll just win again whenever that happens. Midnight, however, notices that Kirby isn't cheering like the others. The trio note that Kirby knew Taranza, so it makes sense he'd have mixed feelings about the fight. Kirby was glad he stopped Taranza, but he didn't feel better. Kirby felt like he saw something dark in Taranza's eyes, like something was controlling him, too. Why was Taranza possessing people and causing rampages? What was the goal? Kirby was troubled. They stopped Taranza, but could there be a bigger mystery? Doctor mentions that there is a mystery they need to figure out, but it's not the one Kirby's thinking of. The trio wonder about the stone tablets. Without them, they would have lost to Landia. Doctor notes that the tablet had an ancient language on it. The group wonders why Landia was guarding these stone tablets and where did they come from? Beam figures it was under their wings. They're not completely sure, though. It felt like they came out of nowhere. Then Magalore shows up. Magalore's happy his gear helped them save the day, but also sad they won't need his wares anymore, now that the kingdom is saved. Everyone feels safe to travel now. Magalore asks if the team is leaving, but they say no. They're gonna just keep helping people in general. But then Magalore asks Kirby if he plans on leaving since he was a traveler before coming there. Kirby was surprised by this question, and he realizes he forgot about Dreamland. He's been gone for months. Now that the kingdom is safe, he needs to find a way back home. The trio expected Kirby to stay with them forever, and they look at him. Kirby sees the 3 of them, with faces identical to his. He gets overwhelmed with emotions. Kirby sadly tells them he needs to go home. I teared up here since Kirby is clearly sad. They ask him why. Doesn't he like it there? Kirby does, but he still needs to go back home. His friends must be worried about him back home. He can't just disappear on them. Kirby thinks of Waddle Dee. He must be devastated with Kirby's disappearance. I've actually thought about this with Isekai's. The family that gets left behind must be sad their loved one is gone. Which I think is why a lot of modern Isekais usually choose orphans or loners we don't have to think about that for. Imagine if your mayor got Isekai'd. They had a lot of people counting on them, and now they've disappeared. It would make a lot of people worried and sad. This is the drama that pulls at our heartstrings. Kirby has 2 worlds that he loves now, but he can only be in one of them, and he wants to return to Dreamland. Kirby, filled with too many emotions, gets out of his chair and leaves the tavern, saying he'll see them later. The trio are of course sad and worried, but they leave Kirby alone to give him space. Kirby goes to see Bandana Dee. Bandana Dee congratulates Kirby on bringing peace back to the land, and Kirby thanks them, but Kirby is sad. Kirby has come to say goodbye. Bandana Dee notices Kirby's sadness and questions why Kirby isn't happy, and Kirby tells him he has to go home. The pair sit together and Bandana Dee asks Kirby if he knows how to get home. Kirby has no idea. He's gonna have to go on a long journey to search for a way home. Bandana Dee then bursts into tears and tells Kirby he's going to miss him so much. We get an image of Bandana Dee crying while talking to Kirby, which is just so sad. Bandana Dee says he'll miss him, but Kirby has a best friend just like him at home, so he can take solace in that. But he wishes Kirby would stay anyway. Then he gives into his feelings and cries more. That Waddle Dee isn't him. He hates this. He wants Kirby to stay forever. Kirby gently holds Bandana Dee's hand, but Kirby knows he needs to leave. But then they're interrupted by a commotion in the village. Bandana Dee pulls his tears back and the pair rush towards the village gate. They find Broom Hatter horribly beaten and groaning on the ground. Broom Hatter in this world would clean the paths between villages, and since things are safer now, he went out to do just that. But now he returns covered in cuts and scratches. He weakly says the name Miasmoros. It was a swamp creature that first appeared in the Planet Robobot game. It's like a toxic galbo. It's an enemy you can fight in Team Kirby Clash Deluxe. So Broom Hatter got caught off guard by Miasmoros and was attacked horribly. The villagers question what's going on since they heard Team Kirby stop the mastermind. Then the trio show up and everyone's asking them questions. Dr. silences the crowd. What's important right now is treating Broom Hatter. After coating Broom Hatter in medicine, Doctor asks him what happened while applying bandages. Broom Hatter was now able to talk and recounts what happened. We get an image of Broom Hatter retelling what happened while Doctor is shocked and Kirby is worried. Broom Hatter was out cleaning the paths and greeted Miasmoros, expecting him to be friendly again, but then the creature spat poison at Broom Hatter and hit his broom. The villagers are in uproar from this. They ask if Broom Hatter provoked him at all, and he said no. He was just being friendly and was attacked for no reason. Broom Hatter is known as a pacifist, so they believe him. We then learn all the scratches were from Broom Hatter running for his life and tripping over and over again. The villagers surround Team Kirby and Beam says he thinks it's just the fading effects of the mind control. No one is sure this is true though, but they leave it at that for now. But as the days go by, more and more people are attacked. It's like things have gotten worse and not better since Taranza was defeated. Every traveler tells the same story. They get viciously attacked while traveling between villages without a word. Everyone feels less safe. People don't leave their homes. Less travelers come through. The village is turning into a ghost town. We then find Team Kirby discussing in the tavern what they think is going on. They beat Taranza and he was badly injured, so how is he still active? Even if he found a great doctor, he shouldn't be back at it already. Maybe he was faking? But no, there's no way he could play dead after the beating he took. And then Hammer says it doesn't matter, they just need to go back up there and take him down again. They then question if Kirby is with them or not. Kirby says he can't leave with everyone in trouble, so he's still with them to fight Taranza. He can't leave until the Dream Kingdom is truly safe. This relieves everyone. The team says they couldn't win without him and eventually admit they just don't want to see him go. These four are practically brothers at this point. Doctor, not wanting to admit his feelings fully, interrupts with asking about the stone tablets. They'll need those if they want to fight Landia again. We get an image of Doctor talking about the tablets. Doctor believes the stone tablets may contain the souls of heroes of the past, and those heroes want to lend them their strength. Kirby remembers holding the tablet, and though not understanding the words, he could feel a surge of power going into him. Could this be the feelings of an ancient hero? In the end, this is just a theory of Doctor's. He has no evidence to back it up. Doctor continues by saying it was the power of their friendship that summoned the meteor. That without all four of them, it wouldn't be possible to summon what he wants to call Team Meteor. Doctor says he named it Team Meteor because it's a meteor that requires the team to summon. The other three look at each other and then agree it's a cool name. I love them calling back to this. Anytime someone names something, the others huddle up and agree or disagree on it quickly, but you'll notice it depends on who suggests it. Anytime a Kirby suggests something, they all agree it's cool. If another character does it, they all think it's lame. Makes sense that the four Kirbys would always agree with each other. Then after the four solidify their friendship and plan to use Team Meteor, Maglar bursts in and tells them there's a mysterious hole up north. That is the dimensional rift, and someone came out of it. This really hints that Maglar knows a lot about dimension jumping since he recognized what the hole can do. The Kirbys look at each other, And now they have to deal with a threat from another world? It just keeps getting worse. Then Magolor says it's a crazy strong girl in the business suit mech. Kirby exclaims it must be Susie from Hope and Works Company. Doctor grows suspicious that Kirby knows who this is. The narrator tells us about Susie, who we know is a character from the Planet Robobot game, and Kirby fought them in the company to save Dreamland, and she had its change of heart at the end of that game. Kirby wonders what is Susie doing there? Did she get lost too? But if this is a hole to another world, then that must mean this is a way to get home. The trio asks Kirby about Susie, but he gets lost in his emotions and asks Magolor about the hole. Magolor says it just popped up out of nowhere and might close suddenly too. Kirby panics and runs to the door. He's got to get to the hole now. The other three grab Kirby, but he struggles loose. This is a chance to get home. He's got to go now. But Doctor reminds him that they need Kirby to stop Taranza. Kirby stops, comes to his senses, and sits back down. This may be Kirby's only chance to return home. The worry about the dimensional hole will nag at him, but he still will save the Dream Kingdom first no matter what. This shows us that Kirby isn't perfect. The chance to go home overwhelmed his senses, but once he remembered where he was and what he was doing, Kirby immediately goes back to being the hero we know and love. This is a hard choice to make, but I think it's the right one. The Dream Kingdom needs Kirby, and he won't just abandon them in their hour of need to help himself. The trio worry about Kirby, but eventually shows his resolve and they feel relief. Kirby thinks he'll find another way home, even if that hole closes. He won't give up. So they plan on going back to Empyrean, and Magolor offers them his strongest armor set, the Platinum set. Unfortunately, it's a 99 gem apples for the weapon and 99 gem apples for the armor. So 198 gem apples per set, per Kirby. So one of them says it's a grand total of 598 gem apples price tag. Unfortunately still, the Kirbys combined only have 26 gem apples, and also they can't do math because 598 is not the grand total. Magolor just wishes them luck with their current set and giggles. Jeez, Magolor, you gotta be kidding me. Also, in case you're wondering, the Platinum set is the final armor set in the Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, and yes, they cost 99 each. But then the villagers walk into the tavern and we see an image of Knuckle Joe, Burning Leo, Broomhatter, and Bandana Dee looking resolute. Bandana Dee says he overheard them talking and talked to the villagers. Bandana Dee evenly distributes the gem apples to everyone. He doesn't play favorites, which is why he didn't give extras to the Kirbys despite them being heroes. But the villagers are aware of the situation and they donate their gem apples to the Kirbys. Bandana Dee raises his voice. With everyone pulling their gem apples together, they have the 792 gem apples needed to buy the 4 platinum sets. Magolor, being the selfish jerk that he is shocked that everyone's being so generous. He can't believe they're just giving away their gem apples to the Kirbys. Bandana Dee says they're betting all their hope on Team Kirby. To be fair, this is the right move no matter what. Even selfish people would want to bet on the Kirbys, or else everyone is doomed. So Magolor not understanding the situation is a bit much here. But it has to be this way to fit game mechanics. Also, since Magolor can just pack up and leave with his dimensional powers, of course he's not worried if the village gets destroyed. Magolor is always an interesting character because of how selfish he is, but every now and then he does do good stuff because of Kirby's influence. Team Kirby thanks everyone for their kindness and swears to bring the Dream Kingdom back to normal again. They raise their hands and shout their Team Kirby. We get an image of just that. So that was a roller coaster of emotions, that chapter. I cried twice! Chapter 8, The Empyrean's Decisive Battlefield. This is it, folks, time for another epic chapter. The Kirbys arrive in Empyrean, and it's an ominous gray-brown now, so think Dark Souls colors. The place is in ruins, and it looks like thousands of years have passed, so very Dark Souls. Team Kirby's at a loss for words, so they just start running towards their destination. The 4 are decked out in their platinum sets. They didn't really like the look of their equipment since it was super shiny and embedded with gems. At first they felt like this stuff should be in a museum, but the armor felt very light, it was durable, and strong. So they could hit harder, and power from the armor made Beam's time-stopping and magic more efficient, and strengthened Doctor's healing abilities. With these armor sets, they felt like they couldn't lose. While running, the Kirbys talked and wondered what happened to Empyrean. It used to be a pretty place. Could Taranza have done this? Kirby doubts he could have, though. Eventually they arrived at an area and felt a cold, ghostly atmosphere, and the area grew darker. Hammer wondered if it was Taranza and got his hammer ready. But what they found was a large mirror with a beautiful border. It seemed to cut the airspace in half. The reflection in the mirror was a dark, twisted world. That's right, folks, the amazing mirror is here, and it's up to no good, just like in the game. They then saw a reflection of Taranza in the mirror. We get an image of this Taranza. He's described as having gold hair instead of silver, 2 black-colored horns, and an unsettling smile. We also see Team Kirby in their armor, and it's so ornate and gaudy, it's ridiculous. So I gotta read the rest of the chapter because it is epic combat, so let's go. Taranza smoothly escaped from within the mirror and stood right in the Kirby's way. Oh ho ho, back again, I see. You 4 brats haven't learned your lesson, Taranza laughed, causing the 4 to shiver. Taranza's voice was rough and raspy. If that's the way it is, then I'll just have to hammer it in this time. I, Dark Tyranza, won't let you get in my way. As soon as he yelled that, Tyranza unleashed an attack. He spread his 6 hands in the air and created several spears emitting an ominous light. While twisting and spinning, he aimed for the Kirbys and threw the balls at them. Such high speed! In a panic, the Kirbys dodged, but one of them landed a direct hit on Hammer. Thanks to the Platinum Lord helmet worn on his head, the damage was minimal, but nevertheless, the ball of light held unfathomable power. Oh! Hammer screamed and fell down. Pull yourself together, Hammer! Doctor quickly jumped down. Be careful, everyone! This is not the same Tyranza as before. He is much more powerful now. Dark Tyranza, Kirby murmured, glaring at the mirror floating in the air. When he thought Tyranza had looked a bit off, of course. The figure reflected in that dreadful mirror was no more than a manifestation of the evil found in Tyranza's heart. The real Tyranza wasn't there. This other Tyranza used the mirror to make the real Tyranza act the way he did. I won't let you get in my way! Dark Tyranza shouted in a voice loud enough to make the air tremble in fear, before throwing gemstone-like projectiles at the quartet. Kirby quickly summoned a barrier to protect his friends. Clang, clang, that was the sound made when the attacks were reflected. Doctor took this opportunity to heal Hammer. Thank goodness we brought the Platinum gear set, Doctor said, then took a second to breathe. Without that, we would have been toast right off the bat. I feel everyone's hopes and dreams coursing through my soul. Come on, let's go! Beam sprung up and waved his Platinum Mage Staff. He fired off time beams, directly hitting Dark Tyranza. Suddenly the clock stopped. See that? That's the power of the Platinum Mage Staff! Beam shouted with pride. Come on, now's our chance! Hammer easily raised his Platinum Lord Hammer overhead. Let's go! Kirby tightly grasped his Platinum Hero Sword. His hands got accustomed to it much faster than with any other weapon he had used up to this point. Dark Tyranza, steeped in vice, fallen into darkness, another version of Tyranza. If they were to defeat him, they would be able to save the real Tyranza. Hammer unleashed a powerful attack, using all his power up to the very limit. Take this! Hammer Flip! That strong move had been the end of many powerful enemies before this, but as an attack from a platinum weapon, it was much more powerful. Too powerful to even be compared to anything that came before. Kirby, also pushing his strength to the limits, slashed at Dark Tyranza. Sky Energy Sword! A fierce slashing attack. Dark Tyranza, who had been stopped with the clock, had a wretched smile on his face, as he had before. However, just as the after effects of Time Beam wore off, he fell to the cloudy ground below him, shaking violently. Dark Tyranza, Doctor called out, glaring at Dark Tyranza. This ends here. Stop controlling people, and let peace return to the Dream Kingdom. Dark Tyranza trembled, with his eyes cast down. Was he shaking due to the pain? The Kirbys thought so. However, Dark Tyranza got up with an impudent smile shown on his face. It seems you are quite strong, Team Kirby. It seems it's about time that I get serious. Huh? Now I shall teach you about what true fear feels like. Dark Tyranza nimbly got up in the air. Once again, a hazy black silhouette started to become visible in the mirror floating there. What? Team Kirby looked up at this. Then they were confused. Then someone with a villainous mask on their face jumped out from within the mirror, with a large round stomach holding a large hammer in their hand. Due to the mask, their face wasn't able to be seen, but without thinking, Kirby shouted out, Huh? No way! Is that King Dedede? What? Kirby's friends looked at him. Wasn't King Dedede that friend you were looking for? No way, that masked guy is him? Kirby didn't know for sure. However, that body shape, the hammer, they were a perfect match with King Dedede. Oh ho ho! Dark Tyranza shouted with a triumphant smile. Let's go, King D-Mind! Teach those pesky little hunters some manners. King D-Mind? Was this not King Dedede? Or was that the new name given to this masked Dedede? King D-Mind, having just escaped from the mirror, turned to face Dark Tyranza. Despite the mask obscuring his face, it was obvious. Violent anger and ill intent filled him to the point of overflowing. Dark Tyranza suddenly became a little more timid and waved, Hey, you're looking the wrong way. Your enemies are over there. I, Dark Tyranza, am not your... King D-Mind, however, wasn't listening. Not a word was said. King D-Mind raised his hammer and swung at Dark Tyranza. We get an image of King D-Mind whacking Dark Tyranza with his hammer. Ah! Dark Tyranza was sent flying out of sight. What? Beam said, dumbfounded. Did they have a falling out? Or maybe, the doctor muttered, anger's taking control of him to the point where he can't tell friend from foe. In his eyes, everything is an enemy. Kirby nodded and glared at King D-Mind. It was likely just that. Just like with Dark Tyranza, this is another King Dedede, one that was steeped in vice. We gotta defeat this guy and save King Dedede! Kicking the clouds, Kirby lowered his posture and then thrust at King D-Mind. Drill stab! The sharp tip of his sword was about to make contact with King D-Mind when King D-Mind's stomach swelled up and split like an open mouth. What? So that's a Kirby's Dream Land 2 reference right there. And he also does this in the game. Seeing such an unexpected sight, Kirby froze in his tracks. King D-Mind roared like an animal. From within his open mouth-like stomach, black energy balls flew out. One by one, the large energy balls knocked down Team Kirby all in one go. Ah! What an awful attack! The 4 Kirbys, now covered in wounds, fell over to the ground. What power? Oh no! Not even giving them time to ready their weapons, the energy orbs once again attacked. Kirby quickly summoned a shield and deflected the attacks. Beam! Stop the clock! Doctor shouted. Beam tightly gripped his staff and nodded. Got it! Let's go, Time Beam! However faster than Beam could wave his staff, King D-Mind's hammer burst into flames. The bluish-white flames attacked the Kirbys. What? Beam panically dodged, but was left with badly burned wounds, causing him to drop his staff. Doctor rushed over to him to administer treatment. Kirby again put up a shield to protect Doctor and Beam. He's too strong! We can't get a solid hit in! Beam's voice seeped with despair. Kirby glared at King D-Mind. Everyone stay back, he said. I'll take care of him. What? Sword, stop! Taking him on one-on-one? That's absurd! No, I'll be fine. I can predict how he's gonna move. Kirby had realized King D-Mind's movement pattern were quite similar to King Dedede's. Of course, he was much more powerful than King Dedede, and he can open his stomach and shoot out energy orbs, but the basic pattern was still there. That being the case, he wasn't that scary to Kirby. Alright, Sword, Doctor said, able to tell what Kirby was thinking. Well then, I've got a plan. Beam, land as many time beams as you can. Stop the clock. And what about me? Hammer asked. After Beam stops time, that's when you come in. Hit him hard with a hammer flip. Roger that. Team Kirby split up to fulfill each of their roles. Come over here, King D-Mind. Pick on someone, nowhere near your own size. Kirby shouted, challenging him to a one-on-one fight. He quickly jumped around and left and right, letting out attack after attack. King D-Mind raised his hammer, aiming at Kirby. We get an image of Kirby dodging King D-Mind. Just as planned, Kirby knew King D-Mind's movement like the back of his hand. Looking at King D-Mind, how his movements overlapped to King Dedede's, anger slowly overtook him. King Dedede, you big meanie! Don't think I've forgotten the time you ate my dessert at Chef Kawasaki's restaurant! Because of you, I never got to have it! He still hadn't forgotten what the real King Dedede had done. He was burning red hot with rage. I really wanted to eat that pudding and soft serve! And the shortcake and macaroons, and you just took that away from me! Kirby attacked over and over, landing hit after hit. Hammer and Doctor were very, very surprised. Whoa, Sword! He seems to have been overcome by some puzzling anger, but... Anyway, he's getting King D-Mind right where you want him. Having the opportunity, Beam continued waving his staff. He landed Time Beam after Time Beam. I keep hitting him, but time just isn't stopping. Keep it up, Beam. Just a little more. The moment Doctor shouted that, as if his wish had come true, time finally stopped. Okie dokie, now! Hammer lumbered over to King D-Mind, preparing to attack. The power builded and built until he could hold it back no more. This is for everyone in Dream Kingdom. Take this, hammer flip! The strongest attack delivered at the best angle. Again, he built up power and landed a blow, and then another blow. Kirby assisted, brandishing his Platinum Hero sword, as did Beam and then Doctor. Using each of their weapons, they fought against King D-Mind. In a world of stop time, Team Kirby continued to attack with all their might. When the effects of the Time Beam wore off, as was expected, King D-Mind collapsed dejectedly. Oh yeah, we did it! Hammer shouted in joy, but Doctor did lose his caution. Don't let your guard down. I don't think this is over just yet. Doctor's perception was correct. King D-Mind got back up, opened his mouth wide, and roared. Then the hammer held in his hands transformed and it melted into mush. What appeared in its place was a large axe. It had a silver blade, as if meant to destroy everything. His weapon changed. That's nothing. Let's just use the same strategy as before. Sword, you know what to do. Leave it to me. Kirby in high spirits was about to jump, but King D-Mind's stomach swelled up. Kirby was worried he was going to get hit with an energy orb, but thinking that, he prepared himself, standing ready. However, the attack was timed to defy his expectations to an unfathomable degree. Inside his gaping stomach appeared an eyeball staring. Huh? Overwhelmed at such an evil sight, Kirby was petrified. King D-Mind was no longer taking the form that looked like King Dedede. Taking a form like a big mouth with an eyeball, he attacked the Kirbys. Ah! It's gone full dark matter now, everybody. Someone bitten by a mouth that big wouldn't be able to be saved. The Kirbys twisted and turned in an attempt to get away. What are we gonna do? We can't beat a monster like that. Don't give up hope just yet. Everybody's counting on us. But King D-Mind, now changed into a big mouth, flew about at a horrifying speed, aiming to crunch the Kirbys. Kirby managed to put up a shield to defend them, but that meant he couldn't leave an attack. Like this was only a matter of time until he was defeated. But hey! Stop! Stop right there! Beam waved his staff on the verge of tears. No matter how many time beams he hit, it never seemed to have any effect. At this rate, the team would run out of stamina before time could stop. What should we do then? Was this the end? The four were standing on the brink of despair when something filled the ground when a time beam hit. This is... Doctor picked it up, then his eyes widened. This is one of the stone tablets. A stone tablet came out of that attack. Huh? One of the stone tablets that summons this team meteor? Why did that guy have that? Maybe... Doctor glared at King D-Mind with a tense look. He must have stolen them from Landia. That must be where he got this tremendous power from. Hammer gave out a tough laugh. Huh. Like the power of those stone tablets could be used by someone like him. Those stone tablets are a symbol of our friendship. Alright, we'll just have to seize the stone tablets he stole. Doctor's eyes, which had dulled to the excess of hopelessness, regained their sparkle. We can win this. We need 4 tablets in total. Got it. Team Kirby made a comeback. The 4 tightly gripped their weapons and jumped out. They didn't even have to think about defeating their enemy. Anyway, little by little, with the motion caused from fighting, they made him drop the stone tablets. Kirby nimbly skipped about, continuously slashing at King D-Mind. Dr. traded and threw some small explosives after small explosives. Beam continuously unleashed low-power time beams, and Howard, not good at small, weak attacks, held back as much power as possible and unleashed a few light attacks. Soon a second power tablet fell out of King D-Mind's cape. Okay! And then came the third. It's time to go! And then suddenly came the fourth. Team Kirby each picked up a power tablet and held them up high. We got them together now! It's payback time! Let's go! A symbol of our friendship! Team Meteor! A dazzling light radiated from the 4 stone tablets. The light rose higher and higher and extended to the far reaches of the galaxy. And then to the point where it was overwhelming, they united at the far ends of the universe and became a big ball of light. It immediately rebounded once again toward the Empyrean. We get an epic image of the 4 Kirbys summoning the Team Meteor to defeat King D-Mind. Now grotesque King D-Mind, unable to move, suffered a super hot, super fast attack. No monster could endure this power. King D-Mind trembled greatly and didn't move an inch. It seemed they had defeated him. Or... did they? As Team Kirby watched carefully with bated breath, the mirror appeared again. King D-Mind frailly tried to resist, but could not escape the mirror's power. Team Kirby's worst enemy was sucked back into the mirror's dark glass and disappeared. And that's the end of the chapter! What an awesome fight, that was really cool! This book has the best fights for sure. And now let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 9, The Ultimate Mark. Team Kirby was exhausted from the fight, but thankfully it was over. The clouds lost their ominous light and a warm sunlight returned to the land. The ruined buildings even returned their beautiful old form. The Kirbys regained their energy from basking in the light as well. Team Kirby cheered and hugged each other, crediting the win to the Team Meteor and the power of their friendship, and also everyone in the Dream Kingdom giving them courage. But then Dark Tyranza appeared. He mumbled in a hollow voice and moved towards the mirror. He wanted to see his Queen Sectonia again, and the mirror would give him that. The trio prepared to attack him, but Kirby stopped them. Kirby tells them it isn't the real Tyranza. Kirby remembered the past. He remembered his adventure in the amazing mirror labyrinth, and the mirror deep within. How it would turn the evil in someone's heart into a materialized reflection. Kirby figured this was that mirror. So instead of attacking Dark Tyranza, Kirby tells them to attack the mirror. Kirby warned them not to let the mirror reflect them, but we know that isn't a problem. Dark Kirby is also a good kid. So they all attack the mirror at once. Dark Tyranza tells them to stop because it's Sectonia's, but they smash the mirror to pieces and Dark Tyranza screams and loses his energy. Cracks appear all over his body and he shatters like the mirror. Hammer's confused by what just happened, but Doctor surmises this is what Kirby meant for them to do. Then Beam points out that something's happening. Where Dark Tyranza stood, a light now appeared, and Tyranza laid there. Kirby rushes over and checks on him. Tyranza groggily awakens and learns the mirror is destroyed, and of course he becomes sad. Tyranza is such a sad character. He is the most widowed man ever in the Kirby universe. Oh my god. Kirby's not sure what to say, but Beam tells Tyranza to come with them. Buddha Chef Kawasaki should help cheer him up. Back at the tavern, the place is overcrowded because everyone wants to hear about the battle. Hammer exaggerates some of the cool stuff he did, but everyone's smiling and laughing here about the fight. Thanks to Team Kirby, there truly is peace in the kingdom now. We learn that Tyranza left the party as soon as they landed in the village, so he's somewhere else at the moment. Team Kirby hopes he's just being shy, but will eventually apologize to everyone. Then Magolor comes in and congratulates the team, and they in turn credit his armor for helping them. Then Magolor complains about Tyranza, and they're not sure why. Turns out Tyranza is sitting on the roof of his shop, and he won't come down or listen to anyone. Team Kirby goes outside to see. We get an image of Tyranza holding a Dreamstalk flower while sitting on the roof of Magolor's shop. This is what he does in the game after you defeat him. He joins the village and just hangs there. Magolor, of course, is very annoyed. Kirby tries to get Tyranza to come down for dinner, but Tyranza just looks up at the sky. Kirby thinks he's looking up at Queen Sectonia's castle, his home above the clouds. Kirby figures Tyranza will come down when he's hungry. While watching Tyranza, Kirby remembers he has a place to return to as well. So Kirby decides it's time to say goodbye to everyone and head off to where Susie is before the hole closes up in the northern plains. Then this moment happens. Sword! Beam started before correcting himself. No, the battle's over now, so you don't need your gear anymore. Do ya? Guess you're not Sword anymore. We should probably call you Pink now. Yeah, I guess so, but my name isn't Pink, I'm just Kirby. Beam smiled sweetly, as did Doctor and Hammer. Guess you're right, I'm not Beam anymore. Guess I'll go back to being Kirby too. Same here, I'm not Doctor, I'm Kirby. Yeah, guess Hammer's no more now. From this day on, I'm Kirby again. The four made a circle and grabbed each other's hands tightly. Everyone listen up. Doctor, or the blue Kirby previously known as Doctor, before he went back to just being called Kirby, said, There's one thought on my mind right now. What is it, Doc? I mean Kirby? Even if we split up, our hearts are still one. Team Kirby's never really gonna end. The Kirbys all nodded their heads. Yeah, duh. We're all friends. So what are we gonna do like this? Blue Kirby picked up a tree branch that had fallen nearby and wrote some words into the ground. Team Kirby Z. The other Kirbys were bewildered. Right after the name they're all familiar with, an extra letter had been added to the end? What's that for? Team Kirby Z? Well, I mean... Blue Kirby, seeming shy, drew circles in the dirt with the tree branch as he explained. Well, Z is the last letter of the alphabet. It's the ultimate mark that this is the end. I think it'll also serve to show our friendship will never ever disappear. Team Kirby Z, the Kirbys muttered together. At the front of the group, Pink Kirby said, I like it a lot. Yeah, it's a good name. Alright then, you know the drill. The Kirbys all lined up in a row and cheerfully raised their hands. I'm Kirby. I'm Kirby. I'm Kirby. I'm Kirby. Together we're four. They pointed to the blue sky and shouted as loudly as they could. And together we're Teams Kirby Z. I love that they called back to so many different things earlier in this book right here. Well done to the author. By the way, Team Kirby Z is the name of the game in Japan. Well, more accurately, Kirby Hunters Z. Kirby then finds Bandana Dee at the village gate. They talk and hold hands one last time. I'm tearing up already. Bandana Dee tells Kirby he's going to miss him and asks him to take a couple seconds to think about him every once in a while. Oh, my heart. Kirby, overcome with emotion, is only able to say a few words like Waddle Dee and thank you. Bandana Dee cries for a moment and then pulls back his tears and switches to a happy face. He wants Kirby to remember him smiling, not crying. The two hug with all their strength and Bandana Dee wishes Kirby safe travels. They wave goodbye to each other and Kirby walks away. Every now and then, Kirby turns to see Bandana Dee still waving at him. We get an image of this, Bandana Dee happily waving as Kirby is a distance from the gate and looking back. I tear up every time I read this. I've read this book like 4 or 5 times for this podcast. Eventually, Kirby can no longer see Bandana Dee anymore when he turns around, and Kirby realizes Bandana Dee was the only person who called him Kirby. Everyone else called him Sword or Pink Kirby. With Bandana Dee out of sight, Kirby hurries towards the north. All he knew is that Magalore said somewhere in the northern plains was a dimension hole and Susie came out of it. When you think about it, this was 1 or 3 days ago depending on travel time. So would Susie in the hole still be there? Still, Kirby resolved to not give up hope and searched north. To deal with his worries, Kirby talked to himself as he walked, wondering about Landia. Was that an evil doppelganger they fought? Regardless, they should be fine now since the Kirbys defeated the mirror. Just then, Kirby could hear a loud flapping and feel a strong gust of wind. It was Landia landing in front of Kirby. Kirby asked Landia if they were back to normal. Though Landia was huge, its 4 faces were peaceful, so Kirby felt only a little intimidated. After some staring, Landia grabbed Kirby with its mouth. At first, Kirby thought he was going to be a snack, but eventually realizing Landia wanted to give him a ride now. Up high above, at great speed, Kirby could see all the Dream Kingdom, seeing many towns and villages being peaceful, grasslands and rivers and all sorts of places. He could see below the people traveling peacefully without fear. Kirby and his friends were responsible for this peace. Kirby said goodbye to the Dream Kingdom. Like, I love this so much about Kirby. He's doing all this for a kingdom he's never going to come back to. He planted seeds for trees whose shade he will never be under. Kirby was worried about getting home, but with Landia on his side, Kirby felt like he'd be back home in no time. Eventually they made their way to the northern plains, which were covered in a thin layer of ice. Kirby landed and thanked Landia as it flew away. Landia made a noise as if bidding farewell. Kirby then mustered up his courage and walked forward. After some time he found a hole in the shape of a star. Kirby recognized this hole. It's an extra-dimensional road! This is a reference to, of course, Return to Dreamland game. Kirby happily heads to the hole and says, Dreamland, here I come, but then Susie in her mech suit stops him. Kirby recognized Susie in her business suit, but it had a lot of little differences and one big difference. The Susie he knows uses a pink suit, which this one uses a black one. I'm going to read the last of this chapter. My Susie voice is going to be awful, by the way. The otherworldly invader looked down at Kirby from the mech's cockpit and continued with a cold voice. I believe this is the first time I've seen you. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Susie! Kirby shouted. The Susie lookalike went silent. Then soon she seemed to pull herself together and continued. This is so Susie, right? It is an honor to see that you know my name. However, to be precise... The mysterious robot suddenly fired missiles. Kirby panically jumped out of the way. I'd prefer if you would call me Parallel Susie. Parallel? So apparently this Susie knows she's a different dimension Susie. That is very interesting. Kirby thought about this while running around, trying to escape. Of course, this too had to have been an evil Susie created by the Twisted Mirror, just like Dr. Ron's and King D-Mind, right? However, the mirror should have been destroyed by now. Yeah, this is just a different dimension. That's what she is, and I guess because she knows she's from a different dimension, she's letting people know she's not their Susie if they have one in their world. So that's nice of her, I guess. And yes, this is an enemy you can fight in the game. What a pesky little native, refusing to stay still for even a second. Parallel Susie approached Kirby with light jumps. Please wait, Susie. I don't want to fight you. Come on. Look, you see the hole over there? Arguing was but a futile effort. Parallel Susie jumped up high and attempted to squash Kirby. However, Kirby managed to escape by rolling out of the way on the cold ground. We get an image of Susie attacking Kirby. Susie, no, Parallel Susie was serious. She was trying to crush Kirby without any trouble. Right now, Kirby had no weapons or armor, no teammates, and of course, no Team Meteor to save him. Landy had flown away as well. It seemed that the way things were, Kirby had no chance of winning. Kirby frantically tried to escape, if only he could somehow break off from Parallel Susie and jump into the star-shaped hole. However, Parallel Susie jumped up high and blocked Kirby's escape. Once again, she fired her missiles. Kirby was sent flying by the explosion and thrown violently to the ground. The black business suit leaning over Kirby about to crush him was reflected in his widened eyes. Prepare to be exterminated! Parallel Susie exclaimed in a triumphant voice, about to unleash her most powerful attack. And then the star-shaped rift started to shrink, as if it were being pulled shut by a strong power from the other side of the rift. Terrors in time and space created by the magical powers of the Twisted Mirror took on many different forms. The extra-dimensional road was one of them. Now that the mirror was destroyed, the distortions it caused in various places were about to be corrected. The rift that connected the extra-dimensional road was about to disappear. The business suit Susie was riding in was thrown off balance. The gravitational pull from within the rift caused her to lose control of the mech. The business suit, which should have been immensely heavy, floated in the air like a balloon. Hey, what are you doing? Stop at this instant! I said stop at this instant! Parallel Susie shrieked, making a fuss, but she was unable to defy this power. No! Only her screams remained as Parallel Susie and her business suit were sucked into the hole into the extra-dimensional road. Kirby looked up at the hole in amazement before quickly coming to his senses. Wait, I'm coming too! Kirby jumped up and was about to continue after Parallel Susie. However, he was just a moment too late. As soon as it had sucked up Parallel Susie, the dimensional rift had closed. It was as if nothing had ever happened. Kirby was left there on the cold ground. What? Wait! Kirby said in a crying voice. He just lost his one ticket out of there! His one way back home! Kirby was left there alone on the frozen ground. Kirby looked up toward the sky and screamed, "Ah!" Oh my god! What an ending! Kirby was getting his butt kicked and then gets saved by the hole closing, but now he's trapped in the Dream Kingdom! Kirby crying out loud is the most appropriate response. Now let's not forget early in the chapter, we got the heartfelt farewells with the Kirbys and Bandana Dee, follow-up with Taranza. I teared up at those points too. This book has really got me in the feels. It's so good and we only got one chapter left, so is this a lead up to a second book? What's going on here? Let's see. Chapter 10, the end of the adventure. This is it, the final chapter, everybody. It's a short one, so I'll just read it out loud. Quiet down right now. Someone was forcing Kirby's mouth shut. He could hear grumbling and complaining coming from all around him. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm really sorry, everybody. The person with their hand over Kirby's mouth apologized. He rebuked Kirby in a quiet voice. Just quiet down already, please, Kirby. I mean, where do you think you are? Huh? Kirby opened his eyes. All around him there were bookshelves densely packed with books. Kirby had fallen asleep on the table, and his mouth was being shut by Waddle Dee. Got it? You're not supposed to yell here. Waddle Dee released his grip. Kirby was in a daze. He should have been in the cold ground, looking up at the black sky. Where the heck was he? Where am I? Kirby mumbled. What? Still haven't woken up yet? Waddle Dee asked as if shocked. This is the library. We came here together, remember? The library? What? Kirby looked around over and over, then stared Waddle Dee in the eyes and blinked. Are you okay? Waddle Dee asked, seeming worried. Did you have a bad dream? Bad dream? Kirby remembered. His adventure had started all the way back in the library. The words floated out of the mysterious book. Kirby felt unconscious, and when he came to, he was in the grasslands. It was a dream? The Dream Kingdom? Team Kirby Z? Huh? What are you talking about? Bandana Waddle Dee, King D-Mind, Dr. Ron's and Parallel Susie. I dreamed all of it up? From the surroundings came a voice rebuking him with a shh. Kirby had attracted the glares of the other people in the library. I'm so sorry, I'm really sorry. Waddle Dee again grumbled a little. I told you to be quiet, he scolded Kirby. This is the library, you're supposed to be quiet here. There's no way. Kirby's head was spinning. I mean, I had been to the Dream Kingdom for I don't even know how many months. Fighting off troublemakers, saving the Dream Kingdom from danger. Kirby, are you okay? Waddle Dee, was I asleep? Yeah, out like a light. For how long? How many months was I asleep for? Did I even get to eat anything? What in the world are you talking about? You had nodded off for like 20 minutes at most. What? No way! Kirby shouted before Waddle Dee once again put his hand over Kirby's mouth. Now is not the time, Waddle Dee said, seeming scared. Everyone's gonna get mad at us. Let's go outside. Waddle Dee led Kirby out of the library, still with his hand over his mouth. It's true, you know. You had dozed off for about 20 minutes at most, Waddle Dee said while walking down the path to Castle Dedede. You weren't really interested in the book I was reading, so you left for another part of the library. I checked out the book I wanted, and when I went to where you were, you had fallen asleep on the table. 20 minutes? Only 20 minutes? I don't buy it. Kirby still couldn't believe it. Waddle Dee continued to explain. You seemed pretty happy while you were asleep. I felt bad about having to wake you up, but the Great King was going to come back soon, and I had to get back to the Castle Isekai'd, so I was going to shake you awake, and then... Waddle Dee looked up at the sky, seeming annoyed. All of a sudden you started screaming. You seemed really panicked. But that book I was reading, the one where the words literally flew off the page, that mysterious book. What are you talking about? Waddle Dee looked worried beyond his exasperations. There wasn't a single book at the table you had fallen asleep on. I was honestly pretty annoyed thinking you had fallen asleep while reading the book. Kirby didn't think Waddle Dee was lying. That meant everything must have been a dream after all. All the painful fights, meeting and saying goodbye to Team Kirby, his friendship with Bandana Waddle Dee, it was all just a dream. No, there's no way, Kirby mumbled. Team Kirby Z and Bandana Waddle Dee? There's no way I just dreamed them all up. They've gotta be real. Surely. The strong power ruling over Dream Kingdom summoned Kirby, a hero from another world, to save the kingdom from danger. And then, once the danger was gone, it had brought Kirby back to his home world. It was all contained within a dream, so Kirby wouldn't get in trouble back home. Now let's assume a minute is a week or something. Maybe Kirby's been gone for 20 weeks. Let's go with that. Well, that's weird, but I'll never forget all my adventures in the Dream Kingdom. Ever since you woke up, I haven't been able to understand anything you've been trying to say. His Majesty can sleep well and all, but nothing can compare to the way you sleep, Kirby. Waddle Dee laughed. Kirby was offended, feeling that the adventures he had gone on every day were much too serious to be laughed at. Now that I think about it, Bandana Waddle Dee was way cuter than the Waddle Dee here. I think I might just like Bandana Waddle Dee better. Huh? What are you saying? Nothing. Looking at Kirby, who was fuming, Waddle Dee seemed to feel a bit guilty and finally stopped laughing. I'm sorry, Kirby. It was just so funny how you slept. I couldn't help but laugh. Look, how about I make up for it by getting you some dessert? Kirby's mood took an instant turn for the better upon hearing just that one word. Really? What kind? The book I checked out has tons of recipes for all sorts of sweets. I'd be willing to make whatever you like. Awesome! I take back everything I said. I love you, Waddle Dee. Oh my god. Kirby jumped onto Waddle Dee. In the meadows of the ever-so-yawn-inducingly peaceful dreamland, the duo's laughter could be heard echoing. We get one final image, and it's the image of Kirby happily jumping on Waddle Dee as he's holding a sweets cookbook. The end. This is something that happened in the old 80s and 90s Isekai'd as well. They do a last-minute surprise, the MC is trapped, and then they rug pull you, and then somehow they return home. That's what they did a lot. It happened many times, or they end the story with them getting Isekai'd again, like Black Knight with Martin Lawrence. It's a silly thing that happens. Or actually, a kid in King Arthur's court did that too, or was it a kid in Arabian Nights? One of them did that. So, unless they were going to do a part 2, they needed to get Kirby back home really quickly, and that's what happened here. This book was a real roller coaster with lots of high points and some sad points. This is a 10 out of 10 book for me. It had emotion, action, hilarious scenes. It was fun seeing Kirby interact with 3 other versions of himself, and each having their own personalities, while still feeling very Kirby. I think they redoing the game mechanics very well, too. I got 0 complaints about this book. I think it's the number 1. Let me think about it a minute, though. You know what? Yeah, this is the number 1. This is my favorite book. Shook the book had 4 Kirbys, which are my favorite character, but it's gonna be my number 1, okay? The other problem with Book 8, which was the previous number 1, is Meta Knight does feel a bit out of character. He abandons his people in the lust for power, and it feels a bit much there. Like, it shows Meta Knight isn't perfect either, but it also feels like character assassination as well to make the story happen. But still, it's a good book. So, here's the order. Book 9, 8, 4, 1, 3, 5, 7, 6, and 2 still in last place. I'm excited to see what happens when Kirby reunites with them in the Super Kirby Clash book. So this episode took many hours to work on, by the way. If you got all the way to the end of this episode, you gotta share us. Come on! You went all the way through this whole thing. Again, tomorrow's mini-episode will be the end of the first light novel radio play, and March will be the release of the full radio play, and finally, Kirby 64 is going to come out in March. And then April, we'll see if I decide to take a break with April, or if I put out another anime episode I've worked ahead of time, we'll see. But also, while I'm in Japan for April, we will have the recruitment episode come out. It'll be like a 5-10 minute episode, just to tell people about it and to go to the Discord. Description will be in, the description will have the Discord, And yeah, so if you want to participate in that, or you're excited for the next book, there will be a voting post up on YouTube probably soon. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. I had fun and I hope you did too. Thanks for coming by and see you next time.